Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the UK Masters League of Legends here in the brand new Multiplay Studios at the game headquarters. I am Xscoundrel. I am joined by Sona, and this is going to be some fantastic games coming your way. We are into the second week, but this is special because we are here with our first ever broadcast in this brand new fantastic studio. We've got some great games, and honestly, I'm very pleased to be back with my boy Sona.
Man. I've missed you.
I know, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's really been a while. And we're doing League of Legends again, finally. So it's back to the game that spawned us, unfortunately.
Spawned us?
Spawned
like
us.
Out of eggs we were hatched. You didn't know true solo queue. I was born in solo queue.
I don't know where you came from, but that sounds like a plausible theory.
Yes, probably.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the games we've got coming your way, because we've got two sets of best of two today. And they're going to be some pretty good ones, Sona.
That they are. Some really strong teams lining up. Now, I think first we need to just do a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of clean-up duty. Looking for Org actually have decided they don't want to compete in the UK Masters after this week, so they will be replaced by Synergy's Angels, not Angles, as you might want to say. That would be more of an obtuse name for them. However, we are going to see their cute skills on the Summoner's Rift. Synergy's Angels, obviously spearheaded by Synergy himself, one of the stronger UK players over the last few seasons, and have actually quite a strong roster when we looked at their roster earlier on today.
So these guys, they performed in the ESL Premiership under the name Batmani Begins. They have now come into the UK Masters to, like you said, becoming as like a housekeeping sub here for looking for Org, who unfortunately dropped out. And they brought in two new members. I believe it is Doxy, and I'll have to get the name check on the other member that has actually come in, because I believe they've got a couple of subs. But Doxy will be coming into the top lane, and I think they've got a new mid lane or jungler coming in. Could be either or. So we'll make sure we double check on that. But it's going to be a pretty strong team, given what we've seen from them in ESL Premiership. They had a pretty solid performance there. So. Yeah. Coming in, kind of the same framework, but a different couple of star players adding to the roster, but they're going up against Sensei, Sona.
Sensei, though, didn't have the best of performances in the first week. I mean, they won one game, they did lose the other game against M&M, went 1-1. I say it's not great, but taking a game off M&M is obviously a really good performance, a really strong performance. My worry for them is whether they can keep that consistency up and whether they can actually take 2 games off of Synergy's Angels. Of course, we have to give a little bit of leeway to that team today because they've only just come into the tournament. Perhaps they need a bit of time to build up that synergy that they are so well known for.
I hate to be devil's advocate here, Sona, but actually I think Sensei have looked incredibly strong. And taking a game of M&M, the roster that basically took the UK by storm, all bar Renegade Banditos, they actually went 1-1 in a matchup that they were pretty much unanimously predicted to lose both games
badly predicted by whoever predicted that, hey?
Hey, I was one of them, but it wasn't just me. It was pretty much the whole UK scene. And honestly, I think after that game, everyone was really hyped up, including the Sensei roster. Tyrion especially has been performing out of his brain. He's been a fantastic jungler for Sensei. And the one thing that I've always praised them for has been their vision control. They have the best vision control in the UK. That it's just literally, without a doubt, you look at their games, wards placed, areas covered, they have the best vision control in the UK. And it really is a classic case of vision wins games. This makes it, like you said, that, maybe they don't have consistency there. But I think against a team like Synergy's Angels, who have really just literally been formed today, had subs coming in, may not have that, excuse the awkward pun of words, synergy there together as a team. I genuinely think Sensei are favoured in this best of 2.
Well, we'll have to wait and see for that game to kick off in just a few minutes. The second game of the day is District versus the UK Legends. Now, District went 2-0 last week. UK Legends as well did a really good job. How do you feel these two teams are going to match up against each other?
Now, this is a really interesting matchup. Now, District probably are the second half of the year Renegade Banditos equivalents. They've got UK all-star names. They've got Toaster, Kadril, Candyfloss. I mean, Candyfloss playing on a UK org, PogChamp. Like, literally, this guy generally never really touched UK League of Legends, but has now found his way into that jungle role especially. Actually drew Evelyn bans last week because, he's just so famed for his Evelyn in solo queue. But they're going up against UK Legends, who honestly took XL by storm. They took a 2-0 over XL Esports, who, to be completely frank, have looked maybe the second or third best team in the country right now. UK Legends came out of nowhere. I mean, these guys, they had the bot lane that used to be XL's bot lane, and they won. And Sebla, honestly, on that Ezreal performed amazingly. So I wouldn't count UK Legends out of that best of 2 just yet, but it will be a lot tougher than it was previously for them because District are just that next level up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with District. You know, you've got such good synergy amongst their team members. Top and jungle is so important at the moment, and when you're playing with a lineup like that, it's very difficult to actually beat them out in that early game, which is incredibly vital in the meta at the moment. We see it in Worlds, you know, the team that wins at 10 minutes, at 15 minutes, 80-90% of the time goes on to win out the game. I think we are into the lobby and ready to get into picks and bans here. So going to see our first game from the brand new multiplayer UK Masters Studio.
Yeah, but while we wait for it just to get in, sometimes players can be a little bit slow.
Yeah, they are.
Let's just talk about a little bit about the format of the UK Masters, because obviously we've done this Grandoise intro. It's been very wonderful, and like you see, this studio looks beautiful. But what is UK Masters? I mean, what are we talking about here? It spans multiple games, but we are talking about League of Legends tonight, and it's got an interesting format. It's one of the first tournament formats to use best of 2s properly in a round-robin format. So every team, there are 8 teams in the UK Masters. There is a best of 2 format where they play every team in a best of 2. As you would expect. I've said best of 2 about 6 times now. And it's a round-robin format, so they each play each other once. Now, the top 4 go to playoffs. Playoffs happen, and then the top 2 go to the I-Series coming up in winter. And they will play a final there, and it will just be the final. I believe it will be on the Friday. So it's going to be this big build-up to this massive event that's going to take place at I-Series.
Playoffs are double elimination as well, so that you always have the chance to get back into the game if you lose out in one of those first matchups. And that Friday at Insomnia 59 is going to be absolutely immense. We've got all of the UK Masters finals happening on the same day. So we're talking Hearthstone, Counter-Strike, League of Legends. It's going to be a day to make sure you get there early and you watch some great esports action.
I know, it's going to be fantastic. But not only that, there's a huge prize pool to play for here.
Yeah.
Massive amount of money on the line. Probably one of the biggest amounts of money in UK League of Legends that we have ever seen. £7,000 is the lion's share for first place, so it's a massive amount for that first place team. But that is the sound in my ears, and hopefully the sound on your screens as well. We are in...
Sound on your screens? Can you get sound on your screen?
Maybe you can. Into picks and bans here between Sensei and Synergy's Angels.
We are going to wait for the first band to come out here from the Sensei lineup. Now, strong players, strong champions at the moment. You know, you're looking at things like Elise. You're looking at those strong early game junglers. Nidalee is the first band coming out here from Sensei, and I wouldn't be surprised as well if we see a Syndra ban, because she's been played a lot on the world stage and is incredibly powerful in the mid lane.
So it's actually a top-end jungle sub in here for Synergy's Angels. Otherwise, it's pretty much the framework of that Batmani Begins roster that was in the ESL Premiership. So Doxy coming in the top lane and Draw a Blank. That was the name I was trying to think of. I was literally drawing a blank on the name.
You could never have set that up.
That was too perfect. Yeah. Nidalee being banned away for Draw a Blank, likely targeted. You don't often see Nidalee banned unless someone is a particularly good Nidalee player, and I know that Tyron doesn't exactly have Nidalee on his roster. No. Zac has been banned though, and that makes total sense because honestly, Tyron is a Zac god. He put almost. He got it for one game, I believe, versus one game versus Eminem, and that's what really, really shut them down. It was that Zac pickup for Tyron. Nart and Jace coming through, those top lane monsters that we sometimes see a lot during Worlds. They're going to be off the table.
Well, Jace at quarterfinals had about an 80% win rate. He was picked up in 10 of the quarterfinals matches at Worlds in the last
I'm pretty sure H2K did most of that.
Well, Anks were pretty anxious going into those games. Not so anxious as they flew home because they didn't have any more League of Legends to play for this year. Syndra is the final ban as well.
Brixton.
Makes perfect sense, you know, get that away from the side of Sensei. Now we've got first pick. Elise is still on the cards here.
Elise is on the cards, and Tyron has been playing a lot of Elise. Now, Elise has seen a lot of bans during Worlds. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Sensei try and prioritize that. Sometimes you may want to try and think about getting early rotations of AD carries right now. Caitlyn has been this sleeper AD who's kind of bloomed fully now, become this monster. They're actually going to lock in Karma first. This is something that not only us, but pretty much every caster in the world kind of wonders why this happens.
Well, I think the thing with Karma is she's a very strong support. She's also a good utility mid lane, although we don't see her played that much there anymore.
Won't be in the mid lane.
I think the strength of Karma is always you know that you've got to disengage if the enemy team decides to go for a more full engaged composition. You can always mantra that Inspire, combine it with something like a Sivir to give you a little bit more disengaged when you're on the hunt. You know that you've got at least a safe boss lane lined up for you. I agree that it's a little bit odd, and so I keep stopping your train of thought. I agree it's a little bit odd, but I think if you want to pick something safe, Karma first makes sense.
What Karma does is doesn't give away a lot about where you want your team composition to go to. Karma also does give you quite a dominant bot lane. especially when you combo it with something like a Caitlyn or an Ezreal. Lots of, you know, Karma almost makes Ezreal lanes aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, she can make it sort of double over in that sense. Going to be Doxy running with the Rumble here, and they are going to lock in the Jhin, someone who's also been very popular during recent Worlds matches. Now, Rumble, opposite of Jace, being picked a lot, but has a low win rate. I believe he had a 20% win
so
rate?
he's got 20%. He was played in 5 games across quarterfinals at Worlds. Only won one of those games. Can't remember exactly which one it was. And actually, this is a pick I wanted to talk about. 620 is the patch that we're on, and Nunu got those consume buffs on it, so no longer gets unique passives depending on what minions he consumes, but instead gets a scaling passive as the game goes on. So you get 5 stacks of it, up to 50 extra movement speed, up to 15% extra HP when you have it fully stacked up. Falls off at about 1 stack a minute. Nunu is a jungling god at the moment.
Nunu is back in a big way compared to what he was about a year and a half ago. You're kind of seeing that dominance of this annoying jungler come back in. Has the ability to just walk into the enemy jungle, take away camps, just get that massive movement speed. To be honest, his objective control is stronger than his ganking potential. He can still gank, not as strong as potentially you would find yourself trying to walk into the enemy jungle and just clear up as many camps as possible. But Nunu is back, and he's here just to be an annoyance to the enemy. He combos very well with invades with the other members of your team, and generally can walk into the enemy jungle with those buffs, that movement speed buff as well, take away some camps and get out pretty free. Also, like I said, great objective control.
There is actually a weakness coming out here from Sensei's composition, because you talk about objective control and the ability for Nunu not to, he doesn't have a strong gank ability, as you say. They haven't got a huge amount of CC aligned in this composition at the moment. You've got Petrify Engage, you've got Karma as well, you can, you know, put a tether on someone, but I feel they need a little bit more hard crowd control if they want to round out this composition.
I guarantee I know what Avera will pick, and that's likely going to be Poppy.
Yeah, I think Poppy makes a lot of sense. And then probably Ezreal as your AD carry, in all honesty. Really interesting pick here, though. On the side of Synergy's Angels, they've got the Jhin already, and then they pick up the MF. So have to assume that's going to be Jhin mid.
I'm going to double check that this is not going to be a placeholder of some sort.
While you check that, I will theory craft about Jhin mid. Jhin mid, pretty good at clearing waves, has long range poke with the captive audience, can do a lot of work, with the Deadly Flourish, not the captive audience, can do a lot of work, and then of course, when you get that ultimate, Curse and Core can come down, do a huge amount of work. But Synergy actually typing in chat to us that MF is actually Lee Sin, so...
Sona's dreams have been crushed.
Mate, I've seen a couple of Jhin mids, and it doesn't tend to work, but it would have been interesting to see it brought into the game.
Jhin mid was something that was kind of spawned when Jhin was first released, and then everyone realized he just got pooed on by assassins.
By pretty much anything.
But anyway, it's going to be Lee Sin for Draw a Blank, which... if you're going to be looking for a counter jungler that can actually try and counter jungle and pressure Nunu, then you're probably in the right spot with Lee Sin. Not the quickest clear speed, pretty quick clear speed, but obviously not as quick as some other jungglers. So if Tyrion is clever, and he is with his vision control, might be able to steal away a couple of camps here and there.
Interestingly, the other option was to take the Elise, who I feel has slightly stronger early time ganks than the Lee Sin does.
Yeah, I feel like she'd struggle against the Nunu, though. Your clear speed probably isn't as quick as Lee's, and you do go a little bit lower, and Nunu can try and exploit that. You know, Nunu will just walk into your jungle and attempt to make himself be an annoyance. It is going to be the Caitlyn locked in for Inax here. Like I said, Caitlyn become this sort of emerging sleeper AD carry that hasn't really been changed, but people have just kind of realized, wait a second, she's like Sivir. If we get 3 or 4 items on her, she just becomes a god.
She's incredibly strong, especially when you team her up with a support that can keep her safe when needed. That Karma, obviously going to be pretty effective for the side of Sensei. Now, obviously just jumping into the lobby quickly here as we make sure we get the final Lee Sin swap in, and then we will be back into the action. I didn't actually see the final pick. It was a hover for Lissandra to start off with for its Nyx. I didn't see if that got changed.
I think it was Lissandra. I think Lissandra was the final lock-in here for the side of Synergy's Angels. I keep wanting to say Batmani Begins, and Synergy Angels, well, you know, we have to go with that name.
Batmani began, then we had
died.
the Dark Bat Risers, and now we've got the Angels after that. Yeah, Bat has died. They're not the team that UK Masters needs,
but it's the team UK Masters deserves.
They're not the team they deserve, but the team they need right now.
Okay. Yeah. You went for the quote.
I did, and then you changed it halfway through. You confused me. You're the one who said needs, man. You're the one who said needs right there. Anyway, yeah, Poppy in the top lane. Let's have a quick talk about this top lane matchup, because we've seen a lot of Poppies and Rumbles being picked up there, up towards the top side.
Rumble should dominate.
Rumble should dominate.
Should dominate. Like, especially post sort of level 4 or 5, you get to a point where you can't pressure as Poppy. Poppy is not one of these melee, basic attack orientated carries in the top lane that will really start to pressure on Rumble. you know, you need to be able to land your Q, which is a slow damaging ability. It does not damage as quickly as many other abilities. And Rumble can just sit there with his Flame Spitter in your face, just doing some serious work. So it's going to be tough for Avril, but Avril has been in tough matchups. I mean, Avril essentially, if I'm completely honest, pretty much only plays Poppy.
You say with most played Fiora, Kled, and Gangplank.
But I had
recently playing mostly Poppy and Rumble. You're right.
But in specifically UK Masters and a lot in the ESL Premiership as well, pretty much only just play Poppy. You know, Avril defaults to that particular champion quite readily. What I'm more interested in here is Tyrin. He's picked up the Nunu. Now this is something new for him, something that we haven't seen him play thus far.
You might say.
Something new, you might say. Yeah. Also, keep an eye on that mid lane matchup. Now Brixton kind of became a meme. You know, he was this mid laner that was never quite performed to where he wanted to perform. And he was in Diamond 3, and people were like, Brixton, lol.
It's the high of mid laners.
Yeah, but he's now Diamond 1. The guy has been climbing, and he has been putting in a lot of work. Sensei has been really good for his motivation, seems to be really good for his self-confidence, and he's kind of living up to that mid laner that he always said he was, and to be honest, we knew that he could be. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays up against Nyx, because Nyx doesn't register quite on the scale of UK mid laners you'd think about when you thought about sort of top competitive games. But he's always been there or thereabouts, been on University Birmingham Storm, had a lot of impact across multiple UK scene teams, became a Shaco one-trick for a little bit. You know, that's just classic
I think everyone's become a Shaco one-trick at some point.
You know, you're not a League of Legends player if you haven't been a Shaco one-trick.
I just want to cause the enemy team pain. Okay, that's all I want to do. But yeah, talking about the Nunu pick. So Lee Sin, really strong early game jungler, okay first clear, takes a little bit of time to get through it, a bit more time than the Nunu will to consume. But how do you feel that he's going to be able to actually impact the game? Because Nunu is all about shutting the enemy jungler down and making him as useless as you are as a champion. Can Lee do anything about that?
Lee is so mobile that, to be completely honest, like Nunu has like 3 modes, right? Nunu has the mode of I eat your jungle camps, I chase you in your own jungle, or I just try and run into lanes and use positional advantage and make snowball ganks. At least it's so mobile that if he tries to do any of the former, he could just jump away with Safeguard, and Nunu then unfortunately is not going to be able to chase him as quickly. It's going to be difficult, I think, for Tyrion to have the same kind of impact against the Nunu, against the Lee Sin than he would against other particular champions in the jungle, especially as well the fact that Nunu does get punished by someone who can put a lot of pressure onto lanes, and with how mobile Lee is, he can put a lot of pressure onto lanes.
That he can. I'm really interested actually that is the matchup, because we've been seeing so much more Elise, and I know Worlds is on 617 or 618, I think, and this is on 620, so that Nunu buff has actually made a big difference. But what we tend to see with meta, and we've talked about this time and time again when we cast together, meta is what we see the most in professional play. Like that's how the diamond level meta, that's how the challenger level meta comes out, is what the professionals are playing and what people think are good at the moment. And Nunu is very much a solo queue jungler. We don't tend to see him that much in these sort of rank 5 games because he doesn't do as much as he used to do. He's not as effective as he used to.
It really depends how you play him. And I actually think Nunu plays specifically well into Sensei's style. Sensei are a team that is very centered around their ability to have very good vision control. And Nunu, you know, with his movement speed buff, his ability to roam into the enemy jungle quite freely, he can just slam down that vision very easily for Sensei. Tyrion, it plays into his playstyle so well. He also likes to make sure he has good river control through the river scuttler. Is easy for Nunu to do. He likes to make sure he's got good dragon control. Likes to make sure that if he makes a gank happen, it's through an area where the enemy has lack of vision because their vision control is so good. So I actually think this could be a playstyle that fits quite well for Tyrion here. But what I want to look at specifically before we jump straight into the game, which is just about to happen, ladies and gentlemen, is the overall team composition and what they're designed to do. Because we talked a lot about the players individually, what their play styles might be.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about is these overall team compositions, Soda.
Well, let's talk about them then.
Yeah, I know, but I was gonna let you tell me what they were.
At the moment, we're just waiting on the loading screen to get into the game. So we've got Poppy, Nunu, Cassio, Caitlyn, and Karma on the side of Sensei, if I remember correctly.
You do indeed.
Something I actually really want to talk about there as well is the Nunu buffing their Caitlyn with Blood Boil. That's an interaction we haven't talked about.
It's something that we don't talk about with Nunu because Nunu used to get picked as support, specifically for things like Cogmore, Vayne,
Caitlyn.
But that is kind of what Nunu was for back in the day. He was a Blood Boil machine. Not so much now because he can actually. The thing about Nunu, what makes him so good in the jungle, is he just gets so tanky so quickly. Yeah. You know, you pick up a Sunfire Cape and you're almost unkillable. That's what makes him so good right now. It's just the ability to sit in the front line, be a nuisance with base damage from Snowball and obviously his absolute zero. and then it's just unkillable. But I've gone sidetracked because I wanted to talk about the compositions.
Poppy, Nunu, Cassio, Caitlyn, Karma. Don't have that much front-up damage in that composition.
But it's not about that, because with the Cassiopeia, with the Poppy, with the Nunu, the Karma is exactly what you talked about. It's the disengage and then re-engage. This is what Cassiopeia, Karma, and all these particular picks are going to be so good at. You peel for Caitlyn, and you sort of disengage from the Jhin engage and then re-engage when you want to, because you've got good chase up. Now Brixton will pick up Rylai's, Poppy will probably wouldn't get Iceborne Gauntlet in this particular matchup, but then you have Nunu as well as Karma. You just avoid that engage coming out from Synergy's Angels, and then you just turn around once more, get that Rylai's, jump in, and then you chase them down. Caitlyn untouched at the back line. That is the overall point of this composition coming out from them.
Well, we are on to the Summoner's Rift for this first game of the night for the UK Masters here. It's Sensei versus Synergy's Angels. Of course, Synergy's Angels, one of the new teams on the block because of the drop out of the Looking for Org composition. Now, let's have a talk about the team comp coming out from the side of Synergy's Angels.
Yes.
Rumble, Lee Sin, Lissandra, Jhin, and Nami. There's a lot of long-range engage there.
Yeah, well, picture this. This is what I want to talk about.
You're going to paint me a picture.
I'm going to paint you a picture.
You are the Mozart of painting pictures.
I'm a Caitlyn.
He was a composition, he was a composer.
Got it.
So he couldn't paint pictures.
Totally got it.
My point is that you're bad at this.
No.
Okay.
So, Caitlyn standing there in mid lane, just happily farming away, and suddenly the curtain comes down. Jhin ultimate opens up. The bullets start to fire down, as does the equalizer, as does a random Lissandra that appears out of nowhere, and then just
Tidal Wave, mate. You forgot Tidal Wave.
Tidal Wave 2. You know, look at all these massive elemental, nuisances coming your way. Anyway, the point is, open up the engage with Jhin. Then you come in with Lee Sin, try to isolate somebody, you just throw down the Rumble ultimate, you jump in, you throw down the Lissandra ultimate and the Tidal Wave. This is just heavy engage based off that Jhin starting things off with his curtain call. The task for Sensei is going to be whether they see that coming and whether they can disengage.
That's the whole point. If they can disengage effectively, they have a great kite composition with Cassio. You've got the Nunu there as the front line. You've got the Poppy as well with Keeper's Verdict. You've got Steadfast Presence coming out from the Poppy to stop that Lee being able to jump on towards your backline as well. So it might, if you get a good Flame Splitter off with a Lissandra ultimate, that's a great Song of Ice and Fire coming out down onto that Caitlyn. But if you get a good disengage, then it's going to be pretty difficult for Sensei to actually disengage these fights. It's exactly what they want to do, as you say. And already we see this bottom lane pushing in Inax, and Craigie going to put some pressure down. How do you pronounce that name? Jerry? K-Jerry?
K-Jerry.
K-Jerry. Oh, a little bit of an accent on that.
Exactly.
K-Jerry.
So Doxy, quite famously known as being quite a player that has got a little bit of confidence behind him. And you'll probably see that. He'll probably spam some emotes a few times. I've already seen that in chat. He has told the team they have 19 minutes until they can throw up their vote.
19 minutes and 30 seconds before you can call for a vote, boys.
So, he's already feeling a confidence. This is something that Doxy has always been like, though. He's a very talented mid laner, but does nothing.
Well, already we see some counter jungling coming out from Turin. He went to see if he could steal away the enemy's blue, but Draw Blank had started there, so was able to pick it up for himself. Nick's taking a bit of harassment in the middle lane. Now, our AD carry, I'm not sure how I'm going to say that either. 9 times our AD carry or just our AD carry?
Just say X9. I also said X9.
Brixton's going to get engaged. John Lee Sin lands the kick there. Draw Blank just putting the harassment down. This is one thing that Nunu's not the best at doing. Early game counter ganks. He's not that strong. He doesn't really provide too much.
He's not really good at ganking at all. It's something that Tyrion expected Lee Sin to have started top, so he obviously tried to make that counter gank happen. It means it's kind of slowed his jungle. If you look at what Lee Sin is doing, he's just taking away some of these mid lane or these river objectives. He's kind of shutting down what Tyrion can do in the early game here.
But he is. There is a question as to whether you give that first blue buff over to Brixton if you're Tyrion. Nunu, of course, has that passive, does get some free spells. Could be able to give that away. Actually, did Tyrion steal that? Because I saw a blue on him. He just jumped back. He did. He has got a blue, so he must have stolen it away. Lee didn't actually get that first. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not the one controlling the spectator PC. That's a scoundrel on our caster PC. So you should have spotted that yourself.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey. If I'm going under the bus, you're coming with me.
So he totally...
Oh, Foxy flashes in, looking for the kill onto Avril. Doesn't land the Electro Harpoon, and Avril's going to go back in, but it's first blood to Doxy. No. Avril Lavigne, that was a disgusting mistake. He may be a skater boy, but he said see you later, boy, and picks up first kill of the game.
So that was, I think, particularly because Avril thought that he would be able to abuse the fact that Doxy had overheated. A lot of people totally forget that Rumble, when he's overheated, his
more damage.
His basic attacks are monstrous. You don't want to go into a melee fight with a Rumble when he's in that overheated mode. He gets massive magic damage bonus to his auto attacks. And Avril, unfortunately, paid the price for that particular engage. Doxy coming out with a small win in this 1v1 matchup, which is something that I think he would have been looking to do.
Oh, definitely. You know, if he wasn't looking to come out with a win in the 1v1 matchup, he's probably not playing the game the best too.
Some people play their lane matchup just to survive,
really safe,
right?
Yeah.
You know, safe, become relevant in the later game.
You know, we were talking about Doxy's confidence. He just typed in chat, GG, ? As if, oh, we got first blood, so you guys are just going to forfeit the game now. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Synergy's Angels still have a long way to go before they can win out versus Sensei, who, as you said, have been on a very good run of form at the moment. A purple patch for them.
They have been a very, very good run of form thus far. And a lot of it has been down to vision control. And something that I've always praised them for has been their ability to just completely light up the map very early on. They haven't had the chance to do so thus far. Actually, it's uncharacteristically dark for Sensei right now. They haven't really managed to light up their enemy jungle much. And already looks like they're coming to punish Avril here. Lee Sin making his way up.
Yeah, Drawblank's coming in for the fight. There's the Steadfast Presence, but he's going to get shot down, and now Avril will knock him back into the wall. Drawblank still has the Sonic Wave, but misses it! And then spams the emote to show actually he is a skilled Lee Sin.
Yeah, Avril, I think would have wanted to leave her W until Lee Sin came into lane, but felt like she just needed to get away as quickly as possible from Doxy. And the missed Q will actually punish for Synergy's Angels right here.
And at the end of the day, you pushed Avril out of lane. Avril doesn't have teleport. You're not going to get the wave all the way up to the tower before Avril can get there. She might lose out a couple of minions. It's all right.
It's hard to freeze a lane as Rumble as well.
Incredibly difficult. And actually, Tyrian's going to be able to take this blue Ocean Drake away as well. So that's a big advantage for the Poppy now in the top lane. If you can get a little bit of extra sustain, Cassio as well likes that extra bit of mana, likes that extra bit of health regeneration in the lane. It really helps them put some more pain down on towards Synergy's Angels.
Yeah, Brixton now level 6. Forced away by Nyx there, who is level 6 himself. Brixton doesn't want to get caught in the Ice Tomb early on. It is going to be some good early objective control, and now Vision's starting to ramp up for Sensei. Tyrian managed to land some wards around that river area. It's going to keep Brixton very safe from a gank from Lee Sin coming from blue side jungle. So he should be able to see that if that's going to happen.
So how do you feel about this Lee Sin itemization? He's decided to go TM out first.
It's pretty standard.
It is pretty standard.
There's two ways you build Lee Sin. You either go into Caulfield's Warhammer early on, or you go into the Tiamat early on. I actually don't mind either. It's a little bit like Rek'Sai. Sometimes it's just not worth going for the jungle items. You have a better clear speed with the Caulfields or with the Tiamat. I quite like Tiamat if you can afford it. Most people won't pick it up as early because they might not be able to afford it, but it gives you such a good clear speed and also it increases your dueling potential very nicely.
Clear speed is exactly what I was going to talk about as well, because it means you deny Tyrian that ability to come in and counter clear. Inact's going to take some pain here in the bottom lane. RAD carries looking for a bit more with that bouncing grenade, but shouldn't be able to chase him down. It does look like Nyx is going to try and come in for the flank, but not going to be able to get there in time.
The good vision control again from Sensei, just showing
that river is lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, and it's all blue in color as well. That's, you know, as soon as Nyx moved out.
What type of Christmas trees do you have? Blue Christmas trees. I'm dreaming of a blue Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. I didn't realize you lived in Smurf Village when you were younger.
So you just use that song. Do you ever sing I'm dreaming of a green Christmas?
No, I have a white Christmas tree.
Oh, right.
Covered in snow, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Tyrian's going to spot out Drawblank here, who is looking for a little bit of a gank on the mid lane.
They know he's there. They know he's there.
Absolute zero onto Synergy, though, melts him away! And the Nami might fall. Tyrian does get caught up in the bubble. Brixton's going to come in as well, but a great kick from Drawblank will force them away. They didn't know he was there.
I was certain the way that Drawblank was playing,
they had
knew.
Absolutely zero knowledge that Nunu was sitting in the bush waiting for them.
Yeah, channeling is absolute zero. Yeah. I genuinely thought the way that Drawblank was positioning, that he had some idea that they were just trying to collapse on this Nunu. I actually think that's what Tyrian might have thought as well. It's why he apparently just thought, oh, well, I've got to throw absolute zero down now.
Fine.
But it ended up working out well for them. Got to praise Synergy's Angels, though, because of their response in terms of vision control as well. 4 pinks on the map right now. Most jungle entrances catered for. And now the river is basically lit up in red.
I'm a little bit surprised by this pink actually behind the bottom lane, though, because they've got one in that bush behind them. Usually you do that when you've got an aggressive enemy jungler like an Elise or a Lee Sin, because you know they're going to come in for the flank, or an aggressive mid laner like the Lissandra. they don't really need that pink there. I mean, it does give them a little bit of vision, and it's only 75 gold they're investing into it, but I feel that pink perhaps could have been better placed down that river route, just trying to spot someone out coming down, rather than putting it behind.
It tells you what I think the bot lane from Synergy's Angels are expecting to happen. They're just trying to cover all aspects of a gank that Nunu can actually pull off quite easily in the early game because of that scaling health, but actually, there isn't any vision control here. Well, actually, there is in the river. There is in the river, and they should know he's going to come across.
Yeah, they spot them going across at their Baron pit, Dragon Pit. Here comes the Tidal Wave. Inax able to dodge it out, but here comes Lissandra. Nick's going to get onto Keisha, and Keisha as the ult rain down on towards the Karma. Take her out. And it's another kill for Synergy's Angels.
Synergy's Angels 2 up against Sensei. Despite the fact they were spotted out by that Dragon Ward there, they could not escape in time because of how far they were pushed up in the lane. Tyrion now seeing Doxy. Doxy actually forced the flash straight away.
Brixton was coming up straight away as well, so he needed to get out of that situation.
He actually warded and saw Tyrion waiting for him, so Inax now going to be careful. Actually going to force a teleport coming out from Averil. This will mean that Doxy could push up the lane.
This is dangerous though. If Drawblank had hit that, they're still going to go for it. Inax going to get caught out. Already carry the Jhin, raining down pain on it towards the Caitlyn. We'll take her out. Did have to burn the flash for it at the end because Drawblank used that Dragon to get him away. Here comes Tyrion, going to get onto Drawblank. Absolute Zero is going to take down that Lee Sin. It's a double kill. The revival of the Empire here from Tyrion as he takes down 2 with the Absolute Zero.
Wow, Nunu back, and Nunu back in a big way. He's picked up the Cinder Hulk as well, rather the Barmy Cinder. So he'll be heading towards the Cinder Hulk pretty soon. But Tyrion, very classy play there. Actually, the fact that they kicked and didn't get the kill onto Inax, forcing the flash from Jhin, meant that that was a secured kill for both. Very solid play. Doxy unfortunately whiffs that equalizer. Avril not tempted to turn around just yet, but Doxy is actually pretty low.
Has got a Haunting Guys now, so is melting through Avril a little bit, who's gone Barmy Cinder into the No Magic Mantle. A little bit of magic resist up towards that Sunfire cape we were talking about earlier on, but it looks actually like a lane swap's going to occur, because this bottom lane tower's just gone out. Caitlyn's going up towards the top side, so they're looking for the double tower, which after getting that first tower blood and those 2 kills in bottom lane, they've actually forced themselves ahead by about 1,000 gold.
Do you know what's really sensible from Sensei, and what I think they pulled off quite nicely here, is that they didn't even ask Inax to come to bot lane to help try and siege that turret. They were fully confident in their ability to take it with just the Nunu and the Karma, that they were able to then just move Inax straight up to that top lane. Looks like Drawblank will be here to protect Doxy. Doxy going to teleport back. They don't want to give up this turret as easily. But it is drawing pressure away from the bot lane and that mid lane, which is allowing Brixton to just apply pressure to Nyx here.
This game is so close at the moment. It's incredibly tight. There is 1,000 gold difference, but that's all down to that first turret. There's an Ocean Drake advantage as well for the side of Sensei, so they have that little bit of extra sustain when these fights, these sort of sustained fights in lane are happening. However, we talked about how strong the engage composition coming out from Synergy's Angels is. If they get a good engage off, it's easily 3 or 4 kills, if not 5 kills, assuming that Sensei don't disengage it perfectly.
So they're actually doing a full lane swap here, Sonia, but this actually is probably not going to work out in their favor unless they pick up something pretty particularly.
Keisha going to get caught out. Here comes the curtain call, and Keisha is wiped off the face of Summoner's Rift.
And actually look at Drawblank. He's looking to try and make something happen. They're going to go for the turret and obviously just going to leave this to Sensei, picking up another Drake here. It's a big move by Tyrion to be so on point with his ability to control these objectives.
That's what you said as well in Pick and Ban. It's more about the objective control rather than controlling the enemy's jungle. You know, Drawblank's going to do stuff on this Lee Sin. If you can control those Drakes when they're spawning, or at least when you have the opportunity to, Double Ocean is a big lead this early on.
It does give you massive amounts of sustain in lane as well, so that'll be helpful for Averil in this matchup against Doxy. But also that bot lane as well, who don't have their own form of sustain from the Karma. They're actually going to allow this bot lane to start pushing up. They do steal away this blue buff, however. I think Tyrion will have to respond in kind as the blue buff is spawning soon.
Oh, he's right there. He's ready for it. He knows that it's about to come up. And the blue buff going over to Tyrion, I mean, compared to a Jhin, it's probably a pretty even matchup. If Brixton had been able to come across and take that, that would have been a lot better for Sensei, but they've stopped him.
It's more difficult. Okay, Nyx.
Petrifying Gaze. Nyx is going to Brixton very aggressive there. Tyron's going to come in as well. Ace in the Hole's going to connect. But they won't be able to do too much more. Drawblank can just jump away, and Sensei have to back away from the fight.
Yeah, I think it's because Doxy managed to get that pink ward down, and then they obviously, with the vision that Brixton provided in that mid lane, saw that everybody was rotating towards the blue buff. even as a Nunu, just wasn't enough time to take it. So a good steal here for Synergy's Angels, who actually have been responding with some good vision control of their own. Like you see the blue jungle, they've got some deep vision control there. Not as sort of clustered as you're seeing from Sensei, but they've got it nicely spread out, so key areas are being lit up.
Sensei especially trying to focus down this blue side. It looks like actually Nyx will be able to pick up his own blue buff, which is a big lead. Taking that away from the Cassio. She has got tier, but she's not quite in that, full Cassio, I don't care about mana position just quite yet.
Sure.
She still needs a little bit, needs to be fucking those twin fangs to get the heals off. Tidal Wave comes out, Brixton's going to dodge it out with the flash. Draw a Blank did look for the engage, but will get caught up, and now Tyrant's coming in as well. Draw a Blank's going to have to flash the wall, because Avril was coming in as well. Equalizer was used in that fight, didn't really connect onto any of the targets they want, and this is one problem for Synergy's Angels. If they don't get the engage off well enough, we don't really need to see too much disengage from Sensei. They can just walk away.
Absolutely. They do manage to disengage from that fight there. Like you said, the Jhin ultimate came down and instantaneously everybody was there to help protect these squishies like the Caitlyn. And Brixton obviously having to flash himself. They're going to try and rotate up with this big minion wave now. They're going to try and put pressure onto the top lane turret. But look at the team-wide rotation coming out from Synergy's Angels. They do not want to give this up without a fight.
Tyrant's only on 5 stacks of his consume there, so that's 15% extra health, extra movement speed. Curtain Call's going to come out, connect onto Avril, but yet to actually do any damage with that. Tyrant's going to proc absolute zero, not going to connect onto Synergy, so that's actually a big burst of damage on the Nami that hasn't been utilized as effectively as it could. Meanwhile, Nyx and Brixton still in the mid lane. Keisharee's going to get caught out once again with that long-range snare. Inax takes a lot of damage from the Flame Spitters. Draw a Blank's going to get exhausted. Avril tanking up the tower. There's the Piltover. But here comes Doxy once again onto Inax. Not quite going to connect with that snare. Once again, Doxy steps forward. Has been overheated. There's the ace in the hole. Will not quite be tanked up. Draw a Blank's going to have to come back into this one. Synergy's going to get snared up. Inax flashes in. Tries to get the kill, but the heal just keeps him alive. Nyx and Brixton fighting it up. Mid lane v mid lane. And Nyx is winning. No, Brixton's winning. And now Synergy gets dived in the top lane. Draw a Blank gets taken out with the Keeper's Verdict. And look at Sensei. They pick up 3 kills. They're going to take the tower as well. What a fight for Sensei.
And also the Brixton 1v1, I mean, that was so close. A dangerous game gives him a little bit of extra HP on top too. Now he should be able to pressure the mid lane. It was all about that disengage and re-engage. Some questionable flashes, if I'm completely honest. And if that equalizer had been up for Doxy, it certainly would have been well in favor. As it is now, might be a little bit too late though.
Jhin not quite connecting with that Deadly Flourish. Equalizer not in the best of positions, and you're trying to take down a 5-stack Consume Nunu. You're trying to take down a Poppy who's got Spectre's Carol already, and a Karma who can get away pretty effectively. Just not quite got the damage yet on the side of Synergy's Angels to take out these fights. And
the one thing they do have going for them, though, is they are running double teleport.
Yes.
And you have got 2 particular champions that can push waves quite readily in the form of Lissandra and Rumble. Do we see a 1-3-1 start to open up here? Because you can force an enemy team away by just using the Jhin ultimate, with the threat of the double teleport. If you just throw down that double teleport, or rather just throw down the Curtain Call, and then suddenly you're forced to back off as a 5 in a siege, and then they don't teleport, you've got pressure in the side lanes that is building up. Tyrant's going to have to be careful here.
Blank comes in, Nyx looking for the Frozen Tomb. I think it's just on cooldown for the second, just come off now, so not able to connect. Do burn Tyrant's flash though, which is always nice. Getting rid of that ability of the Nunu to flash in. And it's actually a 3rd Ocean Drake that's spawned here. So you have to think Synergy's Angels need to try and get that. Keisharee's going to get caught out. Draw Black trying to get the damage down. There's the Dragon's Rage. Will knock the Karma back. And will pick up the kill. But here comes Brixton. What can he do? Tidal Wave is used. AD carry. He needs to get away. Avril trying to get on top of him. Yumu's actually popped here by 9 times the AD carry. Avril is the target. Poppy's going to get taken low. There's the Deadly Flourish. Frozen Tomb as well. 2 quick kills for Synergy's Angels.
Keisharee, time and time again, has been on the receiving end of the engage coming out from Synergy's Angels. And with Dragon spawning in roughly 30 seconds, this could be the first one that Tyrion hasn't had an impact in picking up. And it is that 3rd Ocean Drake, so the 3 Ocean Drakes could have been picked up here. Do they just end up trading this off for pressure in this mid lane, however? This seems to be the call coming out from Sensei.
We're going to get bottom lane tower for Synergy's Angels. They've got 3 members down here, but 3 members pushing up mid for Sensei, as you said. Tyrion can tank this up if they want to, and actually try and pound away. Of course, 60% damage reduction. Tyrion's actually going to get caught here. Curtain Call comes out, connects onto Brixton. Misses the second, hits the third. Gonna not quite connect with the fourth either, so Brixton will be able to dodge those ones out.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean about ability to defend Siege with just Curtain Call. That can happen every single time. And it's allowed the rest of Synergy's Angels to rotate round here. Oh, a double! My
double
God!
bubble as well, but where's the rest of the team? Where's the follow-up? There it comes, Draw a Blank, Absolute Zero. Use Draw a Blank, goes down to half HP! Ace in the Hole's going to come out as well, but not going to connect. Brixton tried to use his ult to get rid of the fight, but Doxy now needs to be very careful. He hasn't got Flash. Trying to get away from this fight.
He's down to half HP!
Wait, he was down to half HP. It was mental. Absolutely Zero did a huge amount of work. They started the Dragon here. This is so brave from Synergy's Angels.
Really brave.
Red HP bars on a lot of their members. Here comes Brixton and Draw Blank is dead. Now Tyron could just say, oh, just consume it, boys. Just going to take that Dragon down for myself. AD Carry trying to do the work on towards Brixton. Does get a crit off, but there is the third Ocean Drake of the game for Sensei. And you have to say Synergy's Angels should not have been going for that Dragon.
I don't know what god they are sacrificing Karma to every single time, but it just seems to be working out for them. Just giving Kejiri...
Gotta give karma to the karma god.
Exactly, give Kejiri over
the god of Reddit.
Some good karma. Exactly. But anyway, they do pick up their third Ocean Drake. How impactful that will be, we'll have to see. It does give them good regeneration, obviously.
Let's have a look at the exact numbers on the regeneration there, actually. Oh, well, we were going to...
Would you like to have a look?
Yeah, I would like to have a look, but when I say things like that, you're the one who's meant to actually have a look. So it's 12% of missing HP per 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's out of combat though, so obviously it's only useful if they manage to make that disengage happen. That's the key point here. I think it's if they make that disengage happen, they're actually going to draw a blank with that Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike, but nothing going to come of it as the rest of Synergy's Angels, unfortunately, were not in position.
That Lee Sin is so squishy. So squishy.
I actually think this could be really, really good, specifically for certain champions who aren't being focused here. Oh, Inax the God gets... Wow!
Oh, here comes Nyx as well. The Curtain Call used as the first kill, but Draw Blank is dead. And now the rest of the team needs to follow up on this. Synergy's Angels trying to get the engage. Brixton, great dodge of the Petrifying Gaze by 9 times IAD carry, but has to jump away. Here comes Lissandra once again. Nyx, no mana, has nothing to do. Absolute Zero comes out as well, and Nyx should die here. Brixton will be able to take him down with the Twin Fangs. Doxy off towards the side, can do no damage to that Nunu. Synergy has to flash as well, but here comes the Mantra to Inspire for the re-engage. Not quite going to be able to get close enough.
Yeah, even if they manage to isolate Inax, Avril at this point in time is doing a lot of damage, as is Brixton, to be completely frank. He's actually picked up the Abyssal Scepter first. Interesting choice. I think it makes the most sense into a double AP composition with the Rumble and the Lissandra. And I think
you almost forgot Lissandra's name.
I almost forgot Lissandra. Doxy actually going to be the target. He will get locked up here. Brixton coming in.
This should be a kill here. Doxy's going to get taken out with the Twin Fangs. Brixton is so strong. He's almost got his Rylai's. Probably got a fully stacked tier as well, along with that Abyssal Scepter. Now, Draw a Blank. What we haven't talked about, and something interesting actually, Ice Blast slows attack speed as well as movement speed.
It does, yeah.
Can actually reduce the ability of Lee Sin to regain his energy.
Yeah,
which is quite important in these fights.
Sometimes it's quite important, for sure. No, I completely agree. Not as important against someone like Jin, who doesn't really rely on attack speed as much.
Tyron doesn't even need to be in the pit to take down the Baron.
Yeah, this is dangerous,
though. Knock him out. Oh, he gets knocked away with the Keeper's Verdict. Tyron flashes in. Nyx was there as well, but not able to secure it for his team. Frozen Tomb used, but Nyx is a dead man walking.
That was a super dangerous tactic coming out from Sensei. That could have gone very badly wrong.
Keeper's Verdict was very well played.
Exactly. It all relied on Avril's ability to use Keeper's Verdict correctly, because that essentially Tyron must have been on the line of, if it gets to a point where I need to, I can just flash.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to be running your tactics like that. You really want to be saying, I will be in the pit. But I actually probably would have had Avril on the other side of the pit, just trying to try and ward people away. Keeper's Verdict a little bit easier to land that kind of way. And obviously, you always have that backup plan of consume smite.
Heroic charge as well.
Exactly. So,
and Steadfast Presence. Just literally just stand there with Steadfast Presence.
Exactly, like Lee Sin can't get over the wall. You know, he tries to land a Q, you just Steadfast Presence, and unfortunately he got a big time second barrier.
Poppy acting like one of those white knights when, you know, Baron's the girl that he's protecting and Lee Sin's like that thirsty guy trying to get on top of her. It's like, no! You shall not pass. Got my Steadfast Presence down.
Sona with the most relevant
2016. That was 100% relevant.
With the most relevant 2016 analogy I've ever
Good
heard.
relevancy in 2016. What is it?
Exactly.
Blue buff is going to be attempted to be stolen away here.
Sona Scoundrel in 2016. Lol.
Lol. Weren't quite able to see if they got that blue buff because of the camera. On direct to camera at the moment. I know Desertu is on his way. It looks like Brixton picked it up because he's got a blue sitting on him. I can't see a blue on the enemy team at all, so Draw a Blank and Tyron not with that. It's a siege on the tower. You've got Baron up, minions pushing in. Poppy going for the split. A little bit of a disengage with the Mantra Inspire there, but this tower should be going down pretty quickly. And Tyron just tanking that one up for days. Okay, so I know that Desertu will be mad at me if I don't correct myself.
He's right here.
Yeah, he's going to be mad at me if I don't correct myself. If there aren't minions around a tower has 66.6% damage reduction and is immune to true damage. Now, when you've got a Baron buffed siege minion, that actually counts as outside of tower range.
It does.
So you don't get that buff, which is why it took him so long to get the final few shots on that tower. The more you know. Today I learned interesting facts with Sona, but still, siege potential coming out here from the side of
interesting League of Legends fact I've
Sensei.
ever heard you say.
Usually because you don't listen when I'm talking.
It's because you usually have nothing good to say.
Oh, okay, well, Baron minions still pushing in here. The tower's going lower and lower. KShiRi tanks up a little bit there. They're going to push forward once again. Draw a blank step in a trap and is down to half HP in a matter of moments. Tower's going to go down. That's first inhibitor. Tower fallen for Sensei as they continue this rampage through the base of Synergy's Angels. Synergy's Angels look good at the start, but ever since Tyron really started to get online and Brixton, you can trace it back to Brixton solo killing and then getting that double kill in the top lane. Yeah, that's when this snowball starts.
It's kind of like a turning point. That tower siege played out well in the favor of Sensei. Tyron also at a point, where he can just body block most of what X9 can put out on this Jhin. And if I'm completely frank, no one really will be threatening Caitlyn unless you have another one of those situations where you just have a kick onto her again.
Yeah, definitely not. I was looking down to see where this Banner of Command had been used. I think was that a Banner of Commanded minion in the mid lane with the Baron buff?
I think that was a Banner of Commanded Baron buff siege minion as KShiRi looking to be aggressive. It was indeed. I think it was a little bit bigger than normal, so I think that was the case.
Well, they've got another proc on it now, so bottom lane has a huge wave starting to push in to go for the Drake, which is up in 2 seconds.
They're not in a position to I would prefer to use it in the top lane. I think they will use it in the bot lane because everyone's in a position, but usually I like to use Banner of Command in the opposite lane to which I'm trying to siege.
Totally agree with you.
But what it does do is it does mean that it is immune to the Equalizer. And Equalizer has been a big tool, and as well as the Frost of Claw of Frost, that thing. It's also been a good way of yeah, shut up. It's also been a get out of jail free card to clear the waves. Sona, please.
I think it's called the Frozen Claw? Frozen Path of Frost?
Path of Frost, yeah, I think it's called Path of Frost.
Let's see. Glacial Path, holy moly.
Close soon to you.
If only we got paid to do this.
League casters.
Yeah, League casters. It's up 2016. Who sees Lissandra these days anyway? I blame it on the teams picking these weird champions, Anyway, Inhibitor Tower is going to be sieged up. Banner of Command minion is there. KShiRi takes a lot of damage. There's the Equalizer. And there's the first kill on towards the Karma. Curtain Call comes out as well. Not going to connect too much. Anax took one shot, but we'll be able to disengage. They've got another big wave in the top lane that's going to start pushing in towards that second tier tower, and supers are going into that mid lane as well.
KShiRi playing like a Braum, by the way.
You can
just I'm Karma. I can face.
He is the sacrificial lamb. It's what we talked about.
Yeah, hasn't actually given a reward yet for
not for this
Sensei,
one.
but soon TM.
Soon TM indeed. They're just waiting for that huge wave in the top lane. Someone's going to have to deal with that. Doxy does have teleport, so does Nyx. So they can sacrifice a member just for a minute, but any longer than that, in fact, any longer than about 20 seconds or so, they're going to start losing this inhibitor tower. Supers are about to get inside the base as well in that mid lane. So Sensei in a superb position, line of traps set up for them. They've got those cupcakes in the front. Tyrion is going to tank this up a little bit, but Inax needs to be doing damage to that tower at the moment.
There is flash or draw a blank. Inax needs to be careful that he doesn't get landed on a sonic wave and kicked into the enemy base.
Tyrion trying to keep the consume stacked up, sitting on 4 at the moment. Rumble now gone off towards the top side. So Doxy has left the lane to try and defend top lane. The question is, how much can you push in here? Abra's going to tank up the tower, and Inax trying to get some damage down onto it. It's almost down. A couple more shots will take it out. And the second inhibitor turret has been taken out. Now, Doxy didn't even get towards top side. He didn't even get towards defending that tower. They're going to lose their second inhibitor. Here comes Nyx. Great knock into the wall by Abra to take him out. Absolute Zero pops in the back line, draw a blank. Not really doing too much there. And he will fall as well. 2 members of Synergy's Angels are dead. And Abra's looking for a third, but they'll settle for the inhibitor for now. They can just rotate up towards top side or translate themselves up towards top side if they want.
They don't even need to. They can just try and win the game. They can just try and win the game here. It's going to be the Jhin ultimate coming through. Tyrion probably try and tank up as much of that as you can, but they're not interested in the champions. They're trying to clear the waves. They're going to get one in the Nexus turrets. as Avril looks to be aggressive on to X9. He's going to be bloody dead.
X9, dead like the hopes of TSM at Worlds, like all the North American hopes at Worlds. Doxy having to retreat back to his fountain as well. And it looks like this is going to be the first game of our best of 2, going across towards Sensei in a pretty convincing 29-minute performance.
Yeah, that was pretty solid coming out from Sensei. Again, they just had great siege. And the issue with what the Synergy's Angels team was bringing to the table is they had a team composition that fought well around global objectives.
Yeah.
You know, you have Rumble, you have Lissandra, you have Lee Sin in element to try and knock in a member into that team, into the team of the global objectives. You know, you fight for things like Dragon, you fight for things that are in neutral space because it's easy for you, have good zonal control. You're going up against the Nunu, and you always made a move on the opposite side of the map when Dragon was there. You didn't actually try to play into that composition where you were trying to fight for global objectives. You were just letting Nunu take Dragon time and time again. The only time you even got onto Dragon, you fought before Dragon was even started.
It was a bad fight.
And they were making a lot of catches. Now they had good catch potential, but when you're catching a Karma, it's not the most impactful catch in the world. No. You know, what they really should have been doing was dialing things in, waiting for Nunu to start the Dragon, try and allow everybody from Sensei either to barrel in and try and secure it as a team, and then try and fight. But again, the Nunu kind of threw a spanner in that plan as well, because Nunu in general doesn't need a team to take Dragon. He just goes and does it himself. So it was just very sensible drafting coming out from
I feel the vision control was really strong as well from Sensei, which is something you talked about in picks and bans. The weakness was they never really knew that Taiman was about to start that Dragon. They never knew where that Nunu was on the map, and it meant that as soon as we saw that top lane being fought, the Nunu could say, oh, I'm just going to go for Dragon now. It's so easy for Sensei to play around Synergy's Angel not having vision control.
Exactly, and again, a lot of it was down to the fact that they had great vision control. The other part of it was down to the fact that when you pick a team fight composition that's supposed to fight around global objectives, and you don't fight around global objectives because there is no Sensei isn't forcing you to fight around global objectives, then you kind of just lose. Because the siege coming out, especially with the Nunu Caitlyn, the siege coming out from Sensei was superior. And the only thing you can do to respond as the composition that Synergy's Angels brought was Jhin ultimate, look for an engage. When you're already far behind, when you're already on the back foot, and both Tyron and Avril could sit there and just take those Jhin shots to the face, there isn't many ways that you win. The ways you win is Lee Sin kicks Caitlyn. You flank and get Caitlyn locked up in an ice tomb. You somehow land some CNC onto Caitlyn that the equalizer comes down and has a massive impact on. But they weren't ever finding that because those frontline tanks were just too strong coming up.
Once or twice they did catch an axe. You know, we saw a good equalizer into
but they burnt all their damage,
right?
Well,
yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? If you're burning all your damage to get on towards just the Caitlyn when you've got something like a Cassio in the front line who's doing a huge amount of work, that even the Nunu, I mean, that absolute zero,
especially in the early game,
melted through the opposition. And that was vision again. They didn't have vision in that bush. Like, talking back to the time that Nami went incredibly low and you were like, oh, I thought they knew the Nunu was in the bush. It's like, if you don't have vision there, the Nunu loves just sitting in these unwarded bushes and waiting for you to walk by.
And now we talked about Nunu not being as impactful against Jhin, but Jhin obviously scales with attack speed in another way. He gets armor penetration. I believe anyway. He gets armor.
I think so as well.
But yeah. I'm not. I will. This is one of those things that I'm not totally sure of. But I will have to. I'm pretty sure he gets. I'm pretty sure he gets armor penetration. So you slow down the attack speed of Jhin, you're losing arm penetration. You know, you're losing your ability to burst through those front line. He says hopefully. Twitch chat, please.
You can look up champions in the League of Legends client.
Yeah,
just have a look at champions
in that client, so no.
We'll find out. Or you could just Google it because we have got the internet right in front of us at our very hands in this new multiplay studio, which I have to admit, one of the best studios I've been in the UK.
It's very lovely, and honestly, it's very classy. I think that the word classy describes this studio perfectly.
Mostly when we're here.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the next lobby set up for this best of 2. Remember, you can go home as a draw. We are English people. We understand draws. So we do have a best of 2 coming away. It will be another game here between Sensei and Synergy's Angels. We'll jump to a quick 2-minute ad break, and we'll be back with you very shortly. Welcome back to the UK.
Do you think that's multiplayer paying for their electricity bill? Like, it's like, guys, we need the lights, and someone's running down to the shop to get like one of those top-up cards.
Welcome back to the UK League of Legends Masters here at the Multiplay Studios. I'm Xscoundrel. I'm joined by this idiot, Sona, and we're going to be going into
too much energy, man.
We're going into this next match between Sensei and Synergy's Angels. Now, before the break, we gave you a wrong fact.
Wait, you gave them a wrong fact. I just agreed with you.
Yeah, you just agreed with me because you're going to claim ignorance. Actually, Jin's attack speed affects his total AD.
Yeah,
so I believe there's some statistics I just looked at. 10% attack speed gives you 2.5% total AD and some movement speed on critical strike. So anyway, point still stands. Slowing Jin's attack speed is still pretty good. You know. There you go. End of story.
Actually, you could say it's even better because you're getting rid of flat AD rather than getting rid of armor penetration.
Yeah, very true. Could even say that.
I think I would say it was better. In fact,
I think you're probably.
I haven't
right.
crunched the numbers because I didn't actually realize that that was how it worked, and there's no reason to crunch the numbers. But it would be an interesting number crunch if someone out there likes mathematics and wants to do some number crunching for us. Get in contact at Sona the Caster or at Xscoundrel on Twitter. Of course, you can follow Multiplay on Twitter as well. At UK Masters, I believe, and at Multiplay Esports are the main Twitter banners I know.
Now, I'm going to do my hashtag sellout. Thank you to AOC and Aegon, obviously big sponsors of the UK Masters, and Game as well, nicely timed. Comes up behind me on screen.
As if you knew it was going to come up.
I totally didn't. Obviously, they've been big help for setting up the UK Masters, and a big thanks to Multiplay. Obviously, they are running this. It is one of the biggest prize-pooled League of Legends tournaments in the UK that we've ever had. And obviously the finals are going to be massive. They're going to be at I-59, which you've been seeing those
on the Friday.
Wonderful adverts for, and it will likely be on the Friday along with all of the other UK Masters stuff going on.
And if you're wondering what these teams are playing for as well, it's a group stage round robin to start us off. Each team, when they win a map, gets £100 in their back pocket, so 200 a possibility for every week. And then after that, we take the top 4 teams, put them in a double elimination playoff bracket online until we get down to our final 2, who will be playing, as you say, Xscoundrel, at I-59 on that Friday. It's going to be a great day of UK Masters action. We've got the Hearthstone, we've got the Counter-Strike, we've got the League of Legends. What more could you want? I will hopefully be there. I think you'll be there too.
I hope so, if we get hired. With this performance, probably not.
Anyway, if you don't know the difference between armor penetration and a pure attack damage, I have no hope for you anymore.
I had no hope for you from the beginning, so we're on the same level now at least. Anyway, we are going to be going into this second game. Well, hopefully I will get a haircut as well, because I've just been looking at my hair and it looks disgusting. And it's going to be between, obviously...
Okay, should we talk about the teams?
Yeah,
okay,
Sensei taking the first win in this best of 2.
So, Synergy's Angels actually had a really strong early game, in my opinion. You know, they got ahead. They lost out that first turret blood. Yes, it's big, but they were still ahead in gold after getting the counter turret. I feel that as soon as Tywin got online and started getting big on that Nunu, they really struggled to win out the game because they couldn't get through that front line of the tanks.
If I'm completely honest, I think the strength right now for Synergy's Angels lies in their top lane, Doxy. He's undoubtedly the strongest player on their team individually right now. Put him on something that he can carry from, he could split push from, Fiora, you know, just something along those lines where, you know, you don't have a team-reliant champion like Rumble. Rumble was okay in a 1v1, yeah, he's pretty decent. But if you put Doxy on something that he can just flatten Avril on, then I totally think that's more within his line of play. Avril is going to play Poppy unless it is banned. So pick something that will do well into Poppy if you're not going to pick something at all.
What would you pick then? Would it be the Fiora?
I would take Fiora as Doxy. I would even potentially Gangplank, maybe. We don't really see him much anymore, but just a big split pusher that can essentially win the game by himself, and I think that's something that Synergy's Angels should consider.
The other option is something like the Gnar, which we did see banned out last game. A little bit more team fight orientated, but still really strong in that 1v1.
Too. You could think about Irelia, Fiora, Gnar, all of those would be perfectly acceptable for me.
And then do you need to pick a jungler to synergize with that? Do you still go with the Lee Sin? Do you still go for those top ganks? Or do you just say it's a 1v1, we'll leave those guys alone and then use draw books elsewhere?
Get good vision.
Draw a blank, sorry, not draw a book.
Yeah, draw a book. I mean, that commonly coined phrase, draw a book.
God, yes. What would that even mean?
Draw a book. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh
card
or something.
If someone's talking too much, it's like, mate, just go draw a book, okay?
Yeah.
Just go draw a book. Too much talking.
Draw a book. Anyway,
thank God we're
speaking of drawing a book, we are into Champ Select. I don't know how that segued, but it did. And we are into the Champion Select here between Sensei and Synergy's Angels. Now, strategies I'd like to see Synergy's Angels employ, like I said, have a jungler that can affect bot lane. I think your weakest lane in terms of where you need the most pressure is bot lane, because if you lose pressure in the bot lane, that first tower goes down easily. Doxy's 1v1 potential is going to go out the window. So you need someone that's going to stand up to his own in the bot lane. You need to have a jungler that impacts the bot lane nicely as well.
That you do. Graves and Gnar being banned out as well. Saw these strong jungle ganks jungle bans in the first game. Tyrant, as you said, obviously really strong on that. Zach. Now, Synergy's Angels at the moment, you have to thinking about what they decide for their final ban. Do you take the Nunu away? Actually going to be the Karma. So KGE on that Karma didn't have the best of times last games. Ended about 0. He had at least 5 deaths.
I think it was not exactly his individual performance, but how he impacted the team. The disengage and those team-wide shields that he gave were actually pretty huge. And a lot of teams just know that Karma can be strong in that right. She's a great siege champion in the support role, and she does protect against these heavy engage compositions. But it's going to be, like I said previously, people prioritizing Caitlyn.
That's the noise. I feel a bit like Last Shadow when someone picks Olaf. It's just a little bit like, why are you first picking Caitlyn? I know she's strong at the moment. I know she's got power in the bottom lane, but there's still good other AD carries left on the cards here.
Depends what you want for your composition.
You could go Jhin, you could go Ezreal. You've got some strong, there's enough AD carries in the pool that it doesn't really matter what the enemy team picks. You're still going to have at least 2 available.
But Jhin and Caitlyn do completely different things.
Well, yeah, they do, but Jhin still gives you the long-range engage. It's pretty safe in the lane. We saw that in the last game.
When has Caitlyn ever given long-range engage?
Okay, so Caitlyn is long-range AD carry, stays safe. You protect her a little bit in team fights. She does a huge amount of damage. Jhin gives you the long-range engage, so it's a bit like Ashe.
Yeah.
Also has a huge amount of damage in team fights if she gets the crits off, and has the second engage because of the deadly flourish.
Okay, I mean,
in my opinion, Jhin is better than Caitlyn as an AD carry at the moment.
Okay, so don't worry.
Please stop stroking.
Come here, buddy.
Please.
Come here.
Tyron's going to pick the Nunu up once again, and the Nami is the final pick for Sensei. So second pick for Sensei there. So taking the Nami Caitlyn away makes a lot of sense. Draw a blank and Nick's hovering total troll picks here. You're not going to pick Eve at the moment. You're not going to pick the Shaco.
Well, tell it to Candy Floss. He still picks Eve. And it gets banned away from him.
Well, yeah, but Candy Floss is an Evelyn god, in all honesty. It's very, very strong at that. But I expect something like you want to play, probably pick up your jungler here because you know you're playing into that Nunu, so something like Lee Sin. Aurelion Sol, I really like. And actually in 619 got, I would count it as a slight buff. So Comet of Legend, his E, got changed so that you don't need to build up stacks to cast it anymore. Yeah. However, his Celestial Expansion and his orbs on his passive are slightly less damage early game. So not quite as strong as they used to be, but
his roam potential is definitely there.
Roam potential is a lot stronger now. I really like Aurelion Sol, especially into something like a Nunu, because you need the ability to get a couple of man ganks off to be able to consistently gank. And actually, they're not going to pick it, so that makes me sad.
But Doxy gets his Jace.
Doxy, oh no, he doesn't.
Oh, damn it, damn it.
You were so happy, I was so happy, and now we're both just a little bit like, come on, Synergy's Angels.
I mean, they hovered it, and now, so if Synergy's Angels don't pick Jace, Doxy probably undoubtedly picks his Jace. Doxy's Jace is ridiculous. I mean, it is just so good. It was banned away previously, and it's one of those Jaces that if you do see it get played, he will have that. You know how Odoamne played Jace in the quarterfinals?
Oh, you say that, he played into Anks. That's like Synergy's Angels playing up against, I don't know, the UEA Bunnies or something, like a second tier UK level team.
I love how you just flamed your own team there, because it means that the flame is completely warranted.
If I played jungle for them, they must have been pretty darn awful, in all honesty. I don't know how they are now, I haven't kept track of them, so maybe they're great, and I apologize to any bunnies watching me, Anyway, Jhin, easy pick here for Sensei. You want to lock in, probably a top laner here as well. Poppy, Brixton could go for the Cassio.
I mean, they're essentially just running the same composition they ran last time, which is, I guess, the Nami wave can be disengaged. She's got a lot of heal. Her bubbles can be disengaged too. Brixton, again, I think they're going to need that Poppy again in the top lane. But if they pick the Jace, I think she'll struggle.
Kennen makes a lot of sense as well. I really like Kennen because he has that 1v1 potential and then has great team fights. We saw it, coming out from Rocks. Smeb played that, had a great 1v1 lane and then came in for the ultimate. One of the world's big plays thus far, and teamed that up with an Orianna. So they picked a Morg here.
I'm going to check. It's probably
it feels like a placeholder, but Morg mid lane or top lane? That's not going to be Morg top lane. That's the only place it really fits here.
It's Jace. Yeah, okay. So we are going to see Doxy's Jace. So Doxy will pick Jace up for the top lane. This is something that Sensei need to be aware of. Now, obviously, Poppy for Avril, it kind of
his favorite pick.
Runs the same role that we saw last time. Avril was running a big disengage type composition. We will have to run through Champ Select again because for some reason, nobody owns any champions these days.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Maybe
if you have more than one account, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose, we are UK players, probably been banned about 7 times. But no, honestly, I like the Jace here. It does allow Doxy to take on a split push role. He can have impact in team fights. And to be completely honest, this is something that Doxy will be able to shine on. He'll be able to shine on specifically as the best player probably on the Synergy roster right now, and may be able to carry them from that top lane.
Well, he definitely needs to do a little bit more. His Rumble in the last game, he got that first kill, a little bit of Avril misplaying more than anything else, flashing in for that. If he can consistently get kills, which is really easy to do on Jace, if you get that first blood, you're so easy for you to continue pounding away at that top lane, getting the tower early, getting more and more kills. And against someone like Tyron, who's playing the Nunu, who's not that great ganking jungler you talked about earlier. If he was playing into something like a Lee Sin, he would have to worry about overextending or an Elise, because then they can take him down in the 2v1. But he's pretty safe in that lane just to continually push it up.
Absolutely. Now we are into picks and bans once more. We'll rattle through these as Doxy picks up his Jace. Something that I think will have to be the linchpin here of the Synergy composition. Now, instead of waffling on like we did last time and then end up running into the game, why don't we
talk about composition straight away?
Let's talk about compositions now.
I don't even actually think we broke down Synergy's Angels composition at all last game, because we got onto Summoner's Rift and then we kind of went across to it. Anyway, Synergy's Angels. Jace, Rek'Sai, Orianna, Caitlyn and Braum.
So, Jace likely, for the most part, end up split pushing. That's kind of what you do as Jace. Yeah. You will split push, you'll try and look for 1v1s, that's where you're going to be strong. And we know Doxy, kind of like a challenger, high-level challenger player, should be able to do that quite comfortably with one of his best champions. Now we have to see how this fits into a total team composition, because obviously you can't revolve everything around Jace split pushing, because that can go wrong in so many ways. Then you run it into the fact you've got a good ball delivery system, you've got great peel for Caitlyn, and overall your engage is pretty solid coming up from Rek'Sai. So think about this, where you attach the ball to the burrowing Rek'Sai, jumps in, looks for an engage, doesn't happen, you can always try and then peel using the Braum ultimate, Dissonance, and then you still have Caitlyn, a 4-item AD carry that will just monstrously chunk through everybody coming her way. Now, let's look at the other composition.
So Sensei, they have Avril on that Poppy in the top lane again. They're running the Nunu Cassio that they ran last game. Jhin as well alongside that Nami. So a couple of changes, taking the Jhin and Nami over taking the Caitlyn Karma, which they obviously couldn't pick this time, but very much the same composition coming out from them. Kind
of will do the same thing, but it gives them actually a little bit more options. They can actually look to be the aggressors this time round. Their siege is still very good. If they want to be the aggressors, you just use the Jhin ultimate, the Nami ultimate, you run the Cassio in there, you run the Poppy in there, and as long as you're getting some slowdown with Nunu or Rylai's, then you still have the ability to engage. But you also have the ability to disengage. Absolute Zero, Poppy, Nami Wave, all of those can do exactly the same thing. So essentially it's exactly the same composition, you just switch out a couple of champions here and there.
Yeah. I think concussive blows in the team fight is going to play a huge role, because it's so quick. Jace is so easy at proccing that with the W. You get 3 quick empowered auto attacks, proc that concussive blows really quickly. Caitlyn as well, very, very strong with that. So I feel if you can be landing on towards that back line, getting on towards that Jhin, locking him down in these fights, getting the Rek'Sai on there as well, and then trying to proc concussive blows on as many people as possible. Actually, if you look at Synergy's Angels composition, they have a little bit more crowd control, and they have slightly better team fights if that works out. However, as you say, you've got the disengage and the re-engage coming out from Sensei. And in the last game, they showed how good they are with just the disengage. Here, they have that extra arrow in their bow, or extra arrow in their quiver, because if you put 2 arrows in a bow, that's going to be a little bit of an odd shot. But extra arrow in their quiver, and it allows them to just both engage and disengage fights, giving them a little bit more flexibility when they get into these fights.
So, I think specifically what you do as a Jace here, in this particular composition, I've got a little stray strand of hair that is going to annoy me. What you do, particularly what people pick Jace for in general, is the fact that he's got a very, very quick wave push. He's got a very, very quick tower push. So you are like the bot lane with Caitlyn, where you can just push lanes very quickly. You can get to turret, and you'll take that, because you obviously, most Jaces level W first. So that will just monster through those turrets. And this is kind of where you see things like Smeb playing Jace just burns through turrets. Odoamne did the same thing. You have the ability to just put pressure in that top lane like you wouldn't be able to with many other champions. It's just how you end up playing with Jace. Do you leave Jace to do that, and you run a 4-man so you can 4-1 over and over again? Because likelihood is, unless you're using Rek'Sai as a split pusher, you're not going to go for a 1-3-1 here.
Yeah, I don't think 1-3-1 works.
Because you've got pretty good siege as a 4-member. You know, Orianna provides good zone control, as does Caitlyn,
With
just
traps,
being with some traps and having good range. So your siege actually becomes pretty solid. If you bring down Doxy, that increases your siege potential. The shockwave and acceleration gate, shock blast and acceleration gate. That's pretty good for sieging too. It just depends whether you can deal with that hard engage coming through from the Jhin and the Nami wave. That's something that you need to take into account. Again, there isn't actually that many targets to soak up Jhin ultimates unless you're saving Unbreakable specifically for that. So unlike you saw from Sensei last time, they had both Avril and Nunu who could just sit there and eat Jhin ultimates. Yeah. There isn't really that element there for
I think you save Unbreakable in all honesty. What else are you going to use it for? You're not going to use it on Nunu, you're not going to use it on Poppy. Maybe Petrifying Gaze, if you're absolutely perfect on it, you can intercept it, but apart from that, just pop the Unbreakable.
That isn't a projectile.
So yeah, oh, does it actually?
It's an interaction I have never personally tested.
Yeah, nor have I. I know you can stop Tidal Wave with it, so that's another opportunity. But I think, really, the Unbreakable, something I hadn't really thought about until now, does actually mitigate a lot of the engage potential coming out from the side of Sensei.
Absolutely, and I think it's like you said, you probably, in the late game, you only save it for the curtain call. But again, I think a lot of this depends, and if Doxy just runs away with this, then they could just split push them to death. Yep. And this whole point of trying to look for an engage can kind of become mute, because if they get so far ahead that even 5 versus 4, they'll struggle to have the damage output, because honestly, the damage only comes from Cassie and Jhin and a Poppy eventually. If you can just disengage from that with Braum Ultimate, the Shockwave, the Dissonance, then it's going to be difficult to even get to a point where using Unbreakable against the Jhin Ultimate even matters.
Yeah. I think that's... both games we've said that Synergy's Angels have had an okay draft. Like, it's never been outstanding, but both times they've had a coherent team composition. And they've got one here again, but last game, they won the early game, in my opinion. They were 2 kills up, they lost first tower, but able to get it after that, but then just weren't able to capitalize on their lead.
Yeah.
I think Sensei have the better mechanics. I think they've got slightly better macro play as well.
I think it's more team synergy. No, because I'm not talking about Synergy's Angels this time. It's more the fact that they've been playing as a team for longer. Yeah. They have those strategies in place. Their vision control has always been fantastic. People always say, oh, how much does it really matter? It matters a lot. Like, team practice really comes into play in these teams. And this is a team that has been drafted together. They very, very bravely stood up and took the place of Looking for Org, who, they dropped out. Yeah. And we needed someone to replace them. Synergy and his team came along. They didn't have to do it, but they did, because they had an opportunity. They wanted to take it, and honestly, all credit to them. They've been a pleasure to watch thus far, and they actually have a real chance with Doxy on Jace to potentially take this game away.
Well, we are on to Summoner's Rift for the second game of the day. As you said, Synergy's Angels versus Team Sensei, who took that first game, and they are 1-0 up in the series. It's a best of 2, because as you say, we are from the UK, and we know what a tie is. However, neither of us wearing them tonight, Scoundrel. I think that's an important point to make.
Is it, my friend?
Well, because we're probably going to see so many ties in the games that we didn't want to distract with our own.
Exactly. That was my thinking. That's why I didn't put on a tie this morning, because as
not because you're just too lazy to put on a tie.
As Europeans, we are fully aware of what ties are. Draws are in our, they're in our nature, and that's fine. But we didn't want to confuse the viewers when we talked about ties. We didn't want to be talking about our own ties. So I totally see the viewpoint.
Lots of League of Legends watchers obviously easily confused. So you have to be careful with what you say on the stream like that. In fact, Brixton going to be just farming up the lane. Now, Orianna into Cassio. We talked about the Listen to Cassio matchup last game, and now Orianna has that command protect. Usually known to trade okay with the Cassio until that Cassio starts to be able to just machine gun out the Twin Fangs as she gets later on into the game. So I think
level 1
early game, it's fine between them.
Level 1 command protect just gives you a better trading. I actually saw Kadril take command attack and actually did pretty well into a Cassio himself as the Orianna, but command protect is the safer option. It just gives you that ability to just deal with those early Twin Fangs, and then obviously just your wind-up auto attacks start to do some serious damage the longer you get thrived into these trades. But obviously level 2 onwards, you can reset the cooldown quite handily as Cassiopeia, and the command protect will only do so much protection.
He's going to take a bit of pain bubble, lands onto Synergy. They'll try and turn over onto Inax, who does take a tilt over Peacemaker to the face. They deny one farm away from X9 though, so
That's worth.
Worth trade, man, you know, 300 damage to the face of your AD carry for 1 farm. They have got the sustain lane, you know, they've got the Nami, so they can use that ebb and flow just to keep themselves nice and popped up. Exhaust's going to come down here because Rek'Sai's in behind them. Draw Blank's going to get the knock up as well onto Inax, who tries to flash away, but there's the concussive blows, and there's the first blood for X9.
This is what I wanted to see coming out from Draw Blank. When the enemy picks a Nunu, you just go as aggressive as physically possible. Look to make ganks happen all over the map. Tyron now actually only just onto his blue buff, and it looks like we're even going to see Draw Blank looking to counter jungle the Nunu.
He's got Smite up in about 2 seconds. Keiseri's off towards the side. Draw Blank decides he just wants to scuttle for now. River control, very important in this matchup. You want to be able to get that Rek'Sai around the fight as often as possible, of course. And actually, getting X9 that far ahead is pretty darn big, especially when you burn the heal on Inax along with that flash. X9 did burn his own flash, but not too much left for that AD carry. Doxy not knocked back into the tower. Avril once again trying for the outplay. And it's just not working for him.
No, I think this is a matchup that on an individual skill basis, you just don't win. I think Avril, you take your leaf back and you say, nope, I just need to survive. And I think that's perfectly acceptable. I have done that many times in lane. A lot of teams have kind of won games on the fact that they had taken a top laner that is just there to survive. Or not survive in the case of TSM when they had Dyrus. But, you know, it's the same kind of principle. You're literally just there to try and survive as long as possible. Here comes Tyrion, but just the wave is too big to gank Nyx at this point in time.
Ghost from Nyx as well, though. So they do get the Summoner spell out. He would have got down towards Draw Blank, who is off towards the bottom side of the map. Now, interestingly, Nyx going for the Ghost instead of the Teleport here. Teleport didn't really do that much for him in the last game on that Lissandra.
If you're not going to go 1-3-1, oh, wow, that was a very early flash coming up. No Summoners now at all for
Nyx, and Vixen's actually going to go for the damage. Nyx needs to try and get himself away. Flash in by Tyrion. They are killing the bottom side. Now Nyx won't be able to get away from here either. Tyrion should be able to just Ice Blast him to death. Inax did fall once again on the bottom side. We just about saw Draw Blank coming in for the gank, but Synergy picking up the kill there. So not the best trade. You know, you want that on your AD carry as much as you can, and it looks like X9...
Yeah, but he stopped for the Deadly Flourish. If he hadn't Deadly Flourished, he would have survived.
Oh, well, that is a crying shame, a deadly mistake there.
It was a deadly mistake indeed. You know, he wouldn't have been hit by the Winter's Bite from the Braum. But they do get that return kill. This is kind of what we saw from Synergy's Angels last time. The individual, their lane play seems to be superior. Especially for Doxy, who, you know, on one of his best champions, just able to consistently pressure onto Avril. Does miss the Shock Blast, though.
Yeah, he does. He's running out of mana a little bit here. Will regenerate some of it with that static field?
Yeah, static field passive.
Yeah, it is static field passive. Thanks, man.
Yeah. I just thought I'd confirm, you know, I'm just helping you out, Sona. Don't look at me like
last time you confirmed something, you said that attack speed gives Jhin extra armor penetration, which we all know is a laughing mistake.
You didn't disagree with me.
Tyrion once again going to go for this early dragon. Only 6 minutes in, going to be able to solo it out. Synergy will spot him, and Tyrion has to back away straight away. But Jhin and Keijeri coming up to help him out with it, so they will be able to take that one down. Oh, that was 3 HP!
3 HP!
That was so close. I'm not sure the Winter's Bite would have connected.
No,
I think it might have been just at the edge of range, but still very, very close. Cloud Drake over towards the side of Sensei, and that's actually a big lead for them, you know. Getting the extra movement speed on your Cassio is strong. Getting extra movement speed on your Nunu as well. Avril now in a world of hurt. Draw Blank's going to try and take him down. Does use that passive to get himself a little bit of healing, and will be able to get himself away towards safety. You looking up the name of it?
No,
Lightning Field. Lightning Field. Ugh.
Doxy actually just is maxing Q. This is what I was interested in. Some people choose to max W, which it got nerfed, so some people kind of strayed away from that as well. But maxing Q is also pretty solid. Allows you just to consistently apply pressure with that Shock Blast. Actually, they're going to go in onto Keijeri here.
Concussive blows will proc, and here comes the damage from X9. Headshot towards that Nami. Piltover will connect right at the tip of it and picks up the kill for himself once again.
Had Inax stepped in front of that, I actually think Piltover would have lost enough damage and Keijeri would have survived. But look at this, Synergy's Angels putting pressure onto Sensei here. They're looking to take this 1-1 and come out with a draw.
That's what we saw them do last game as well, you know. They got the early pressure, they lost a little bit of macro play, have already lost that dragon, but we're looking for a gank. Draw a blank just round the corner of the bottom lane. Inax does have heal, doesn't have flash, and here comes Draw a blank. They're going for it. Inax needs to get away from this one. Draw a blank decides he doesn't want to quite snipe out the enemy AD carry for now. They'll just look to try and get this first tower of the game.
This is really good coming out from Draw a blank. You know, this is the way to basically punish a Nunu. Nunu is very passive in the jungle. They're actually going to be forced to back away here, as actually Brixton coming down on this Cassiopeia. Draw a blank will just managed to escape. Nami, not level 6, it can't make a long-range engage happen. Avril going to have to charge up the ultimate in the top lane.
He is. Doxy looking for the kill. Didn't connect with the Keeper's Verdict. Great steadfast presence to stop Doxy being able to come down from the skies. Now Doxy very low on mana, actually. Avril's going to turn this around, but Nyx is just around the corner, and Avril will fall. We saw Tyrion trying to get the play down towards the bottom side while all of that was happening, but not able to get on towards Draw a Blank. Will have to settle himself with a scuttle.
Doxy playing a great game of Jace thus far. Really looking impressive at the moment. Just essentially punishing Avril up to a 20 CS lead at this point in time. And this is kind of what I talked about, the ability for Doxy to essentially run a solo brigade in that top lane and be able to just be a split push pressure. It's going to force out Avril to teleport. Nyx going to be the target for Tyrion's gank here. Does have that ghost, but does not have that flash thus far. Had to use Shockwave to defend himself against Brixton. It looks like they're going to try and pressure onto this turret.
That's exactly what they need to do. They need something out of this. Now Doxy's actually going to flash the wall. Brixton shock blast to the face, to the skies, into the lightning field. That is a very dead snake. Time to go back and reevaluate his life decisions as Jace absolutely wiped him off the face of the rift.
Yeah, he's going to have to shed a skin after that one, Sona.
But shedding a skin, you survive. I was going to go with that pun, or that metaphor, but you survive when you shed your skin.
Yeah,
he didn't survive.
He wants to rid himself of that filthy clay.
Oh, yes. Could take a bath by shedding a skin, get himself a little bit cleaner after the dirt.
You get a clean skin when you shed your skin.
That is true, that is true. We've gone taken away here by the side of Synergy's Angels, and they're in a great position here. 3,000 gold up, only 9 minutes in. Very, very strong thus far. They're going to get the first tower of the game as well. Get some 4,000 gold ahead. And as you said, it's all on Doxy. It's all on that Jace. It's 3-0 Caulfields, and Phage is getting himself as many hammers as he can. And at the moment, he's bringing the hammer down on Avril's face time and time
Everyone
again.
knows the more hammers you have as Jace, the harder your hammer hits.
What's your next hammer, though? I can't think of another hammer.
Frozen Mallet.
Frozen Mallet, but... Oh, I remember the good old days when that used to build out of Phage. No longer, boys. No longer.
Anyway, it's going to be Black Cleaver, obviously finished up for Doxy.
That's basically 2 sharp hammers back to back.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually just an axe.
Yeah. Mate, it's 2 sharp hammers.
Is that what an axe
yeah,
is?
that's how an axe was invented. It's the Vikings. They got 2 hammers together. And
Did you watch that series?
Yeah, it's great.
It's a really good series.
Nyx going to get engaged on here. Brixton with the shot blast flashes away from it. They're going to go for the full-on fight. Look at the damage onto Brixton, though. Great tanking up of the tower by Tyrion, and Draw Blank looking for the kill. Inax uses the heal. Brixton's going to turn it around. There's the Deadly Flourish. Here comes the curtain call. Is it high noon for Draw a Blank? Well, the first one was a blank. The second two connect. And the snipe hits right at the edge, and that is a very dead Rek'Sai. And now the mid lane push is coming out for Sensei.
Here comes Doxy.
However, here comes Doxy. Cycling through his cells at the moment. Synergy takes a world of pain. There's the tidal wave as well. Tyrion does take a bit of hurt. Synergy will fall to Tyrion.
I think a stray snowball there.
Ice blast from downtown, man. More like an ice avalanche as it takes Synergy off.
This is the kind of pressure that Sensei need to put on, because if you can draw Doxy away from that side lane, then Avril has pressure released on him specifically. Close that CS gap as well. Doxy, to be honest, should at this point just say, I can't help my team. I just don't even need to help my team. Just tell them to defend, try and be as passive as possible, and let me do what I can do in the top lane. Because to be completely frank, Doxy is not going to win the game by trying to come down and aid them. Just needs to be as aggressive in that top lane as possible. Draw the aggro up to his lane and allow his team to make plays on the map.
X9 is in a good position as well. He's got BF sword and that recurve bow. He's almost got his cull fully stacked, sitting 30 CS away from that, so should have that in the next probably 3 or 4 minutes or so. We'll go up towards that Runaan's Infinity Edge build, which is what we tend to see on the Caitlyn. The question is, what does he go after that? Do you go rapid fire cannon? Do you go towards a Last Whisper?
I actually
would see some armor?
I would like to see Last Whisper, especially with Nunu and the Poppy. Look at Doxy putting...
Speaking of the Poppy.
Yeah. Obviously, Doxy shreds some resistances with his... what is his cannon called? Mercury Cannon? Is it a Mercurial Hammer, isn't it?
Well, when he changes, it's Mercury Cannon and Mercury Hammer, yeah.
Mercury. So that Mercury Cannon on its first basic attack, I think, shreds some resistances. So with that Black Cleaver, even with the Chain Vest there for Poppy, she's going to be feeling a lot of pain. That's kind of what you're seeing coming out from Doxy thus far.
Once again, Excounter, thy name is misinformation. The first shot from the Mercury Cannon, Mercury Hammer does do extra magic damage.
Yeah, but what's the cannon?
Oh, the cannon.
That's what I said, the cannon, my friend.
Oh, you're right, man.
Wow!
Reduces target's armor and magic resistance by 10 to 25%.
I knew the hammer did extra damage.
Is he maxing it? Maxing Q? Could be 25% shock blast into Brixton. Brixton's dead. Extra
Shock
9
blast
picks up
into
the kill.
Brixton.
Shock wave is what I meant. Tywin coming in though. Does flash across the wall, draw a blank. Absolute Zero isn't quite going to be enough. But they will get the kill right at the end. Now, Inix is going to try and do some pain onto Tywin. Here comes the Curtain Call. Synergy, the target. 2 shots onto him. The third will connect. He's so close to dead, and Avril actually takes him down. Where is Doxy? Here comes the TP so late into this fight. It's going to take him a while to join, but he just needs to land a good shock blast, which he doesn't. Exhaust comes out. Kejuri will force him back. And Doxy does try and get the kill here onto Avril. He's going to take a lot of pain from Inax. There's the command protect. Dodges out that deadly flourish. Avril will get himself away though, and that's 2 summoners burned. Doxy burned his splash and his teleport. He got nothing out of it.
Yeah, I think he tried to make a play. I actually believe he had acceleration gate lined up for Tyron, so his shock blast unfortunately did not quite go as far as it should have done, but his little escapade has managed to land them a lot of pressure onto his mid lane turret, but here comes Brixton with the Ghost, looking to clear as quickly as possible with that miasma. Doxy now, I think, needs to just head back towards that top lane, you know, just go and try and take that, put pressure onto that second tier turret on either the top or bot lane. Be that split push pressure you need to be. My mum told me I could be anything. She told me, you know, Kin, and your dreams, they won't just be memes.
Your mother was very in touch with popular culture. She knew the word meme.
She did it when I was just a baby.
Just when she actually invented the meme.
She did. She invented memes. Anyway, what Doxy's mum told him is go be a split push pressure, and that's what Doxy should be doing.
Got to listen to your mothers, guys.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, when is Mother's Day?
It's been and gone, mate.
It's
been and gone a long time, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
I know.
There's 2 of them. I always get confused because there's the American Mother's Day and then the English Mother's Day.
Both Father's and Mother's Days.
Oh yeah, Father's Day is like the 27th of June or something. Yeah,
I think Mother's Day's in April.
Oh,
May.
fine.
It's one of those.
I'm just really early for next year, obviously. Anyway, Nick's trying to defend this mid lane. Morellonomicon, first completed item on both of these mages in the mid lane. What we tend to see, 9 times out of 10, you know, one of the mage like.
I would like to go back through all of our broadcasts and just find out what random topics we've covered. Because I feel like Mother's Day was definitely a first for us.
Yeah, it was. Unless we've cast on Mother's Day, in which case.
I don't think we have.
Nah, probably not. Anyway, mid lane is the target for. I'm trying to bring us back here. Mid lane is the target for Synergy's Angels. And as you say, Doxy is split pushing in that top lane. Got himself a Hex Drink here as his second item, so a little bit nervous about that Cassio perhaps. Poppy, of course, does some magic damage as well with that Hammer Smash, so he needs to keep himself safe from that.
Hammer Smash.
Look it up.
I just like the way you said it. Hammer Smash.
I'm pretty sure it's called Hammer Smash. Our names of skills today have not been the best. Hammer Shock! Oh, darn! I got 2 of the 5 letters right. This would count down, I'd have 2 points. Tywin's going to take a bit of pain once again. He's gone that Cinderhulk build into the Mercury Treads is what we tend to see him going for. Not sure how many stacks he's sitting on at the moment. Could we have a quick mosey on that? See how many stacks of Nunu's on? And see how far away he is from being.
He's on 4, my friend.
So 4 stacks. You know, he's in an alright position on that Nunu. Should be okay to continue in this game. Tower's still the target here for Synergy's Angels. They've been wailing away on this one for a long time. Now, the thing is, Avril has teleport, and Doxy does not. So Doxy just needs to try and keep that Poppy as far back as possible.
It's really difficult for Synergy's Angels to actually siege correctly against Brixton.
Oh, no, it's not! Shockwave! There's the absolute Zero, and actually Petrifying Gaze was using the wrong direction. Tried for the flash Petrifying Gaze composition. The trick didn't quite work out for them, and now they get the tower. That Shockwave was beautiful.
It was beautiful. That single-handedly won them the turret. Because generally against the Cassiopeia...
Oh, Synergy's out of position. Tidal Wave comes out, Synergy's dead.
Yeah, generally against Cassiopeia, she has some of the best wave clear in the game. So incoming ultimate...
1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots. Come on, protect! Oh, it's just about enough to keep X9 alive. But here comes the deadly flourish, and there goes the AD carry down once again in this game. Actually, his first death. So can't say once again.
Why did X9 turn round to Piltover Peacemaker there?
Hey, sometimes you gotta.
The animation cast times just basically killed him. Doxy now picked up what he's working towards a Morum on Mortius, so obviously once he picks that up, will be fairly safe to go into the fray against Tyron and Brixton. Speaking of Tyron, again, has got basically 90% kill participation here. A very deathless Yeti has had a massively impactful game thus far, more impactful than Draw a Blank, who realistically has only had an impact in the bot lane, to be honest. I think all 3 of his assists were onto bot lane kills, onto Jhin, and also Kejuri. So he's had a limited impact thus far in the game. Just needs to really be that engaged to a ball delivery system for the most part, however.
How do you feel about Keisuri going for the Dark Seal? It's something we see every now and again on support.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the day, it's a small gold investment for what it can actually get you, so I don't mind it at all, especially because for the most part, Keisuri probably shouldn't be that massive frontline presence. It looks like Brixton is going to be forced to use Ghost, but here comes Draw Blank.
Yeah, Concussive Blows has been started to proc here. There's one, there's two good. Petrifying Gaze turns onto Synergy. Here's the ace though. The knock up into the stun, into the Deadly Flourish. Here comes the Tidal Wave as well. Can that disengage? It will. Draw Blank has to flash away. Nyx and X9 caught up in that double bubble. The Shockwave has to be flashed away there by Inax. Here comes Timon though. He's looking for something. He's looking for the AD carry. He's looking for the absolute zero. X9 does pick up Keisuri. X9 flashes in for the double. Can he get the triple? Yes, he can. Can he now get Tyrion? That's the big question. The Nunu's going to try and get away, but Draw Blank's come back into the fray. Now, there's no red buff on towards X9. He has been slowed. Ice Blast comes out. Tyrion trying to turn it around. I don't think this Nunu's going anywhere. Willemp will be sacrificed alongside Nunu as well. Of course, Tyrion tries to turn it back around onto X9, but no place to go. It's actually
picks up a kill.
Ace coming out from the side of Synergy's Angels, and an angelic play by X9 to pick up a quadra.
This is what,
triple, actually.
This is what Caitlyn could do. Caitlyn is, especially with that Runaan's Hurricane, has become a serious threat in team fights. You know, people just don't often realize how powerful she could be, but well, let me tell you this, she is bloody powerful as an AD carry pick. And right there, you know, especially combined with the concussive blows coming out from Braum, you can essentially take out almost anybody of those squishies in that front line. But good play by, I think there's actually Lemon Knight, by the way. X9 AD carry is actually Lemon Knight, if you know who Lemon Knight is.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm going to call him X9. I like that name.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, but he's just not XJ9. But Lemon Knight obviously playing an incredibly good little team fight there, and obviously allowed Doxy to sit in that side lane and also be a split push pressure once more. You know, he was able to pick up another solo kill. Didn't quite get enough pressure onto that tier 2 in the top lane, but obviously if you can continue to solo kill your lane opponent, you're always going to have a pretty solid engagement. Doxy now looking to make something happen here. He's going to get sped up. Didn't quite manage to land that shock blast, however, Sona. Looks like things will just calm down here.
They will, and actually looks like X9's either going towards that rapid fire cannon or towards a static ship, because he's picked up the Kirchi's shard, so not going to be going last Whisper next, we must expect. Brixton going to get caught out slightly here by Doxy, who will spot out that that blue buff's just died. Brixton needs to be a little bit cautious as to how he positions. And going to fight up towards the top side as well. Tyrion will take a bit of pain. Keisuri off towards the top side will get away. Acing the hold on towards Inax just to force him back. And they look to push that mid wave in. Doxy's going to join up with his team once again. And there is a minion wave coming in just a couple of seconds here for Synergy's Angels.
I think Doxy goes down bot. Look at the vision control coming from Sensei, though. They know exactly where Doxy is right now. You know, they know he's now...
He is standing on
minions, but they knew he was heading there. So then that gave them the confidence to push this Synergy's Angels team away from their tier 2 mid lane turret. We haven't really talked about the gold advantage, but it's 6k in favor of Synergy's Angels.
Well, it was 3,000 about 12 minutes in as well. It's been a big lead for a long time. I feel Synergy's Angels perhaps could have pushed a little bit harder, you know, put that Jace up in the top lane a little bit more, just had him force out the lanes. But they have been able to snowball this lead slowly over the last 10 minutes or so. Yeah,
and exactly. And the thing is, just by continuing to have pressure in side lanes, there isn't really an effective way for Sensei to deal with it. They have good wave clear in one lane. This is why utilizing that split push pressure from Doxy is just so powerful, because as Averil right now, you just can't contest him. He will just beat you over and over again, despite the armor you've built up with the Imperial Cannon Shred and the armor penetration coming out from Black Cleaver. You know, you're not going to survive very long against Doxy in a 1v1, and you don't really have the potential to split your wave clear over multiple lanes. So you can continue to apply pressure as Nyx and X9 in one of the lanes. You don't actually have to get onto the turret, but you just allow Doxy to do his work.
Doxy trying to do his work in the bottom lane. Still, Avril has that Sunfire Cape and gone towards the Ninja Tabi as well. Remember the good old days when that got you dodge? Ninja Tabi was like the item you built to start off. 10% dodge, I believe it was.
I think Jax had like, you built dodge runes on Jax.
Dodge runes.
That's like season 2, right?
Can you remember the Razor Special Edition rune you could get?
I could.
I can't remember what it gave you. Something silly. Anyway, Synergy is going to be engaged on a little bit here.
I remember the Christmas runes.
Oh, good old Christmas runes.
They were like Christmas hybrid runes.
Yeah. Hybrid runes are literally the worst runes. 9 times out of 10. Unless you played older Kali.
No, there used to be hybrid penetration runes. Used to be on pretty much every basic attack mid laner.
Brixton takes a shockwave to the face. Drawblank tries to get in. Petrify engage. In fact, dodged out. Nyx flashes across with the command attack. And will take down the Snake once again.
That's all the wave play gone. So this is just basically free siege right now coming out for Synergy's Angels, and Sensei being put on the back foot right now. Doxy's actually going to rotate, doesn't want to deal with this wave clear from the hammer shot coming out from Avril, so they're going to rotate straight to that
Sejuani goes very low. Here comes the Absolute Zero, and X9 is caught up in it. Curtain Call comes down. Synergy tanks up all 4 shots. Tyron will get taken out by X9. Inax try to step forward, and here come the rest of Synergy's Angels. Draw a blank with the double knockup. Inax has to dodge away, but he will fall as well. 4 members of Sensei have run off the face of the rift, and now Synergy's Angels can push this tower down.
Yeah, I think at this point...
Baron?
Yeah, they're going to go Baron. I actually wouldn't have minded either Baron or splitting Doxy mid and taking the tier 2, but without Tyrant on board, they're going to go straight for that Baron. Can Brixton defend this, however? He's got a very limited period of time to get down there. As the Cassie, you can probably have a good chance of turning around this Baron fight by yourself. So let's see if he even has the ability to do so. He's going to try and move in.
Baron is a brave caller. Avril tries to get the Keeper's Verdict down. Synergy standing in the way. And Baron does go over to Synergy's Angels, and goodbye Brixton indeed.
Yeah, again, Brixton has been getting caught out by this command shockwave time and time again coming out from Nyx. And it's just allowed the time and space for Nyx to pick up the kill, and at that point X9 just stepped up, got a couple of basic attacks down. Because you're a rapid fire cannon 3-item Caitlyn at this point in time, her damage is insane, Sona. She's also now picked up the Last Whisper. This is the point where Caitlyn becomes hyper carry status. You know, Caitlyn is one of those borderline hyper carries that you can have in League of Legends, and she's almost untouchable with the rapid fire as well.
Only a couple of AD carries I think are better with 4 items. I'd say Jinx and probably Vayne when played well. Kog'Maw, yes, actually. 3. I'd give you those 3. Tristana can do a huge amount of work.
Civ is pretty good.
Yeah, not better
I
than
think Caitlyn sits in that area where she's kind of like on par with Sivir when it comes to sort of damage output at 4 items, but Caitlyn just has that slight element in terms of range advantage. Yeah. But Sivir has a spell shield, so you kind of have to like
and
weigh
has the on the hunt.
Yeah, and you have to weigh up the pros and cons. But both Sivir and Caitlyn are very strong when it gets to 4 items into the game. Caitlyn not yet at total 4 items, but she is a good item and a half up over her counterpart.
Well, this is something I'm thinking about actually. Berserker Greaves, you know, that's a big gold investment. That is a completed item. Yeah. Why is she not at 4 items? I know it's not the colloquialism, and everyone talks about 4 completed tier 3 legendary items.
Yeah, I think with Berserker Greaves now,
I'd 4 items.
I'd happily say she's a good 2 items up over her.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That Brixton's going to take a lot of pain. There's Petrify engaged, but X9 right in the front line. That's not where you want your Caitlyn to be. He will fall, and now Inax is looking for the chase. Can they get on towards Drawblank and Synergy? Meanwhile, actually in the top lane, Doxy's fighting up against Avril, not in the best of shapes. Will take down the tower, and here comes Nyx with the command protect. Avril will now go so low so quickly, and Doxy is dominating. They're going to look towards the inhibitor tower. They did lose, of course, their AD carry, but they have a replacement in the form of this Jace, who absolutely melts through towers. Brixton, what was that? 1 command attack into dissonance. Absolutely. Oh,
you had to think about that for a second.
Yeah, I was going to say distortion, but that's LeBlanc.
Definitely dissonance, yeah. Yeah, again, that was a small mistake by Lemonite, kind of disrespecting the catch potential coming out from Sensei. You know, you have to respect the fact that Nami's bubble is pretty strong. Look at this, though. Nyx just single-handedly warding off that wave clear from Brixton by just using that command attack and distance over and over again. Brixton chose not to itemize into magic resistance this time because it was a singular AP carry. It makes a lot of sense, but he has been brutalized thus far by Nyx on this Orianna.
Rest in peace.
Everybody has stepped up actually this game, I would say. It's not just Doxy who's entered that role, but I think Doxy's pressure allowed the rest of the game to flourish. I think there's a couple of reasons this game's gone better for Synergy's Angels. The first of which is Doxy split pushing. Single-handedly crushed that top lane as the Jace. You know, he is a good 40 CS up, but it could have felt like it could have been more at this point in time. The second reason is Drawblank's pressure in the bot lane.
Definitely.
He made some good early ganks going down onto Inax, which allowed Caitlyn to get ahead. She's now also picked up a Quicksilver Sash, so she's feeling pretty comfortable at this particular situation. Third reason is Nyx on this Orianna. Just his addition to helping the siege coming out from Synergy's Angels just means that he can basically single-handedly ward off Brixton, who is the only real reliable form of wave clear coming out from Sensei. And despite vision control again being well in Sensei's favor, there's no good controlling vision when the enemy team is just sat in your lanes, just sieging those turrets.
Yeah, I want to just go back to that draw blank point. He did so much work in that bottom lane, getting the early ganks off onto Inax from behind the tower, really denied the enemy team any chance of getting vision on him, and they were able to shut him down so effectively. Actually, Doxy going to walk into Brixton here. They did spot him out around the side. Once again, X9 going to step forward, tries to get the damage onto Inax. There's the Dust Blade. Here comes the Tidal Wave. Synergy tanks it up, but here comes Draw Blank. They're going to get onto Inax, and Inax will fall. Tim on that Nunu doing absolutely zero in that fight with his ultimate. Doxy does get the kill in the top side, and already Brixton and Avril have fallen. It's going to be an inhibitor going down on that top lane, and they're going to be able to push the tier 2 in the bottom side of the map. Synergy's Angels coming back strong after their defeat to Sensei in the first game.
Yep, and a lot of reasons led up to this. Again, the composition from Sensei made sense. It was kind of similar in what they wanted to achieve, but if I'm completely honest, just Doxy this time put so much pressure onto Avril, he could never get to a point where he was an effective tank. It looks like they're actually going to try and go for the win here, Sona, and with the Jason Caitlyn, this could be very quick. Turrets going down for Synergy's Angels. They're going to level this series up 1-1. They're going to get a draw against Sensei.
That they are. Synergy's Angels, the newcomers to the UK Masters, are looking for the draw. Couple more shots on that Nexus will take it down, and there we go. 1-1 between Synergy's Angels and Sensei in the first games of the day. Great play by Synergy's Angels to come back. It looked like they were, after that first game, probably going to lose out once again, but did such a superb job of pressuring the map, putting Doxy on someone he can carry with, and having Draw Blank get that bottom lane ahead.
You highlighted the main reasons that Synergy's Angels actually managed to come out on top on this game. The composition from Sensei kind of worked similarly, but Sensei actually previously had a composition that was all about disengage and siege, whereas this time they kind of mixed in the element of being able to be the aggressors. You've got to remember the couple of reasons that this went well for Synergy's Angels. Doxy, we talked about him time and time again. He's on his Jace. Don't give Doxy Jace if he ever plays in UK Masters again, because that's what happened to you.
In fact, just ban Jace most of the time.
But, I mean, Jace is really such a strong pick right now anyway, but giving it over to someone who's so practiced on it was the first mistake. Yeah. Secondly, when your enemy team picks a Nunu, you pick a jungler that can out-pressure him. You punish Nunu for wanting to farm and control objectives by just dominating lanes. Well, he made the correct choice this time. Do you know why he made the correct choice to go bot lane all the time? Because the only lane that could have thrown a spanner in Doxy's works was bot lane. Had that bot lane taken away their tower and rotated it up, Doxy would never have been able to split push effectively. He probably would have never got those 1v1 kills and would never have got so strong. So by the decision to pressure the bot lane was very sensible from the Rek'Sai, because it was the only lane that realistically could have ruined that split push pan for Doxy. Very sensible decision from Draw Blank. And thirdly, that Orianna could wave clear almost as effectively as Cassiopeia, did not get harassed out by Cassiopeia, trades favorably into Cassiopeia, and also aids the siege that the Caitlyn will bring. They didn't even need Doxy for most of their sieges, because they just had Nyx zoning people away with the ball. Brixton just, every time he stepped up, because what a lot of people don't remember about Cassiopeia is when she wants to clear waves, she has to get pretty far forward to make it happen. Miasma does not have a long range. Twin Fangs does not have a huge range. So you're always stepping into range of command attack and command dissonance, and every single time Nyx was like, nope, nope, nope. Brixton just back to base every time. So these combinations basically came together in what was a very nicely played game. Ended up for the win. Draw series.
Great play by Synergy's Angels to draw out the series. Next up, we are going to see the UK Legends facing up against Discreet, I believe. Distinct, not Discreet.
District, mate.
District, that's the name. Just skill names and team names and everything
he's
today.
New here. Don't worry about him. Don't worry. But this is going to be a very, very interesting
really
game.
Strong series.
Because District essentially are the reincarnation of Renegade Banditos. You know, they are just taking very strong players, sticking them together. They performed very well thus far. Candy Floss, the prodigal son, Kadril returning back to UK scene League of Legends. Looking very good for these guys. They're going to be going up against UK Legends, a team that no one had heard of. There's a lot of people who have shown their faces in the UK, and they 2-0'd XL, who a lot of people are tagged as the second or third best team in the country right now. So, I mean, this is going to be a closer game than I think a lot of people will think on the face of it.
That it is. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with that, guys. Make sure you stay tuned. It's the inaugural day of the UK Masters here from the new multiplayer studio. I am Sona. I'm joined by the wonderful Scoundrel. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UK Masters. We're joined by The Desk and Sonar and Scoundrel, who I just added on the top of it. But we all know you're here for The Desk, mainly.
Yeah, The Desk is the important bit. I think we should all realise that. The Desk is what makes the broadcast. It actually has its own TV show now. It's called UK Masters The Desk, and you just sit here and you watch The Desk.
If you're interested in daytime television, we also have Chatty Desks, where Desk will be guest of honor on the first inaugural episode starting tomorrow.
I've actually got a mahogany coffee table that's going to join Desk on that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, good episode of Chatty Desk. And then later on in the day, we've got loose desks, where 4 desks gather around a table and discuss the worries that they have in human life. Trump, Hillary Clinton, who are you voting for? It doesn't matter. You're a desk and you don't have a vote.
And do you know what else they talk about? They talk about, the items that get placed on top of them. But this is the best desk because it has these wonderful screens, AOC monitors, and also generic stuff that I'm using. Mouse and keyboard. I was thinking of the word peripherals. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, enough of the desk. As I know,
no, you can never have enough of the desk.
Enough of the desk.
Desk is life.
We have real tournaments to be getting on with, and that tournament is the UK Masters, and we are into our second best of 2 of the night. It is going to be between.
I'm waiting.
no, I'm only joking with you. It's going to be between District, and they're going to be playing up against UK Legends.
That they are. It's a good lineup for both of these teams. You've got District, who are, as you said, basically Renegades, Banditos, re-emerged, reincarnated, renewed for another season of the UK Masters. You've got Vaxi, Candy Floss, Dukes.
That's actually Cadril.
I know it is, but I like saying Dukes. It's a great name.
I made this.
It's like D-U-K-E-S, isn't it?
I made this mistake on the first broadcast, and he actually added me and told me it's Cadril because he was quite disheartened that I didn't know.
If you say it backward, it's actually skewed.
Skewed, just like
your perceptions of how important this desk is.
I think you're the one that thought this desk was more important than it is. But honestly, I think you're actually insulting the desk by saying that.
I'm not saying the desk is the utmost of importance.
I don't want to get dragged back to the desk here, Sono, because I want to talk about this particular matchup. Now, we were talking about this essentially being an almost reincarnation of Renegade Banditos. Now, Candy Floss had played some sub-mid for Renegade Banditos, didn't actually play full-time on the roster. Toaster, Faxi, Cadril. Cadril was the only full-time member of the Renegade Banditos from originally, but you're talking about the same caliber of players coming through. Because obviously this is not just Renegade Banditos reincarnated, because that was Impaler in the jungle, that eventually became Maxlaw at Live Finals. They had Alfari in the top lane, Cadril mid lane, and then they had Hiva and Yuki in the bot lane. Now this is obviously a UK orientated version of that particular roster, but it's just what I'm talking about in terms of reincarnation is caliber quality that we expect to be putting on the same level of performance than the Renegade Banditos did earlier this year. So this is the kind of team that we expect to have the biggest ticket on their head. This is the one that if you want to win some real respect and sort of take heads, if it were, this would be the team to try and beat. Now, they're going up against UK Legends, who kind of came out of nowhere. They've got a lot of the old XL esports roster. They've got Zandia, they've got Sebla, they've got, I think this the bot lane support also played. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember his old summoner name, but he definitely, I think this bot lane duo used to play for XL esports. So we're into picks and bans now. This is definitely not going to be a clean sweep by District. They definitely have some work on the table.
Right, District on the blue side, UK Legends on the red, as you can see on your screens. Caitlyn, Nidalee, Syndra. Very common bans coming out here from District. Caitlyn perhaps a little bit more targeted, but as we've said in the last 2 picks and bans, a very strong AD carry. Now the UK Legends, you alluded to this ban earlier on today. Against Candy Floss, you want to take away that Evelynn. Victor as well banned out against Cadril, and it looks like it might be the Karma first pick once again coming out here from District.
It worked for Sensei, and obviously it's very adaptable, doesn't give away much about your composition, and is super strong coming in from the support role. Now, a lot of casters, including myself, sometimes look at this pick and say, why prioritize it so much? But a lot of teams are making us eat our words on that particular...
Well, it seems to work out really well for them, doesn't it?
Exactly. We as casters can always say we don't understand, but if we're getting proven wrong time and time again, then we just eventually have to accept it.
It's definitely true right now. I've actually picked up a bottle of water in my hand, and I can't put it away surreptitiously because I didn't realize we were going to be picture-in-picture. I'm just going to move it, and I apologize for anyone who gets insulted by seeing bottles of water on the stream. I know a lot of you guys are from the UK scene, so you're pretty salty and water will dilute you, but it's okay. It's in the studio with me here. The desk has it and has it safe. You guys at home don't need to worry too much about your saltiness being dampened down.
Well, so now, one way to win over your viewers, you call them salty.
Mate, I say it like I see it. I'm part of the UK scene myself. I know.
Don't worry, we are
born
also
in
some of the
salt.
saltiest casters alive, so we can give you full doses of NACL if you really, really would like to. We are going to see Candy Floss potentially taking away the Nunu here. Now, this is something that Tyrion favoured. It has become essentially almost an S-tier jungler just for what he can do in terms of objective control. They're also going to be thinking of taking away the Ezreal. Now, it doesn't have amazing synergy with Nunu. You get a lot of attack speed from landing your abilities anyway, and obviously a lot of Ezreals will tell you that you generally don't rely on your basic attacks for the majority of your carrying potential. But it does take it away from Sebla, who has had an excellent performance on Ezreal, and that was especially apparent last week versus XL.
There's still something like a Gnar on the cards here as well that Nunu can work out pretty effectively with, because you get that extra attack speed on the Gnar. So you don't need to rely on that Blood Boil with the Nunu. It's not the mainstay of his kit. You know, you're using the Consume, you're trying to get those Ice Blasts down. Absolute Zero we've seen can do a huge amount of work as well. So I actually like this brand pickup from the UK Legends if they go for it. They're probably towards something a bit safer like the Nami Jhin, but brand into a Karma actually can do a huge amount of damage onto the Karma and can stop her being able to harass down as much as she usually is in the early game.
For sure. Now, this is something that we've seen at Worlds. Alistar as a support has started to rear his head, no pun intended, with the cow, just in case you didn't get it. It's had a very high.
You make yourself laugh because you're the only one laughing.
I know, sorry. It's had a very high win percentage, and it aids to that sort of hard engage that the Jhin will be bringing to the table, especially with the Poppy and Olaf too. My only worry is you're going to need a hard-hitting, high-damage impact mid laner to kind of round this composition out. And Zandia, we've seen him play before, and he played for XL Esports. Has a diverse champion pool, to say the least. I wonder if they can rein him in and bring him back onto something a little bit more like a control mage that might fit quite nicely here.
So the options really are Cassia or Orianna, if you look at what we've been seeing regularly today.
Yeah,
Syndra as well, but she's been banned out. Victor, of course, banned out against Kadril. Now, the last couple of picks, Vladimir for Kadril, he can do a lot of damage late game. I prefer the Ryze, more of a machine gun target, and then the Fiora in the top lane. So really looking for that top carry coming out from Faxi here into the Poppy.
Yeah, he's going to be split pushing all day. Fiora very rarely has an impact in a team fight unless it's kind of making a flank happen and picking off a very, very weak AD carry in the backline. So I think she's going to mainly have a split push role, and then you're realistically going to have a lot of disengage coming through from District. They're going to be looking to just siege turrets as best as possible with the Ezreal and the Ryze. And then obviously when that engage comes out, you just use the Karma, you use the Nunu, and just disengage as best as possible. Leave Fiora to do her thing.
And now we're going to see the final pick coming out for the side of the UK Legends. It's a mid laner. We must assume Aurelion Sol actually really like.
Zandia plays a lot of Aurelion Sol. It's one of his best picks.
Yep.
And we are actually going to see them. Now, before the broadcast, I will hold my hands up. I said
you said, I was looking up Aurelion Sol skill names, and I was like, I need to make sure I have these down, because Aurelion Sol is so strong.
Shall I test you now?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I've got it.
Okay,
I've got it.
Passive.
Center of the universe, obviously. So easy.
There we go. E.
Comet of Legend.
Hey, there we go.
You tried to trick me there by switching up the order.
I did, yeah. W.
Celestial Expansion.
Oh, very good.
It's so easy.
I know.
The last two are the easiest.
I know, exactly. R.
It's the Voice of Light, I believe.
Yeah, and Q.
It's a Star Surge, and what we will have to see is whether the UK Legends can surge to victory with this composition.
I did that purposefully.
Yeah, of course you did. Let's have a quick talk about these two compositions. So, as you said, the Fiora, all about that split push threat. You've got Nunu there to try and deny as much away from UK Legends jungle as possible. The Ryze, the Ezreal, and the Karma clear out that composition. How do you feel they're going to work as a team, as a unit here?
So split push, you basically siege as best you can. You've got good pick with both Karma and Ryze. Rune Prison coming over and over again is very, very solid at picking up targets like even Aurelion Sol, Jhin. All these targets become incredibly weak to that kind of pick off. But they got good siege with just the Karma and the Ezreal. And then obviously if the engage starts to happen, you just ramp up the Mantra Inspire. You just run away. Use Absolute Zero if you absolutely have to. And you're sitting pretty. You're pretty happy in that particular respect.
I have a worry there. You talked about trying to get on towards the Jhin. Ryze can be strong if he's diving onto the backline. It's just a Jhin there. If you want to try and catch him out, perhaps if the Jin's mispositioned. My worry is how do they get onto that Jhin if the rest of the team's there to protect him? You've got a Poppy, you've got an Olaf.
No, it's about catching him. Like unless it becomes in like the sort of confusion of a team fight where Jhin is looking to be aggressive, you don't run your Ryze through that backline.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't.
But how do they get to the Jhin then?
They don't.
Then how do you win the fight?
They're not planning to do that. what they're planning to do is siege as best as possible and disengage.
Okay.
You know, they're not actually going to go for 5v5s. They have a Fiora. You're never going to 5v5. The only way you 5v5 with a Fiora is by coming in the backline and picking someone off, and you try combo with the Ryze with the flank. So either Ryze makes a flank, they make a pick, or they just don't 5v5 at all.
Okay.
So they're going to, you know, when you have a Fiora, if you try and 5v5 with her, especially against high CC compositions, you're just going to struggle. So you just leave her in a side lane to split push versus the Poppy continuously, and that's fine.
Makes perfect sense, Scoundrel.
Thank you.
Just wanted to get out the bones of the meta, bones of the compositions here. And let's talk a bit about the UK legends. Poppy, Olaf, Aurelion Sol, Jhin, and the Alistar being picked for them. Now, I worry for District in the early game that the UK legends have a really good roaming composition with an Alistar, with an Aurelion Sol, and with the Olaf as well.
The only lane you're likely going to roam to realistically is bot lane. And you've got very good disengage in bot lane. Ezreal's got Arcane Shift. You've also got the Inspire as well. You know, honestly, it's going to be hard to catch these guys out unless they go for a full tower dive. Now, they are weak to tower dives.
Yes.
Ezreal, once he's used Arcane Shift, is immobile, and Karma Ezreal don't really have a lot of CC to bring to the table to defend against tower dives. And combine that with Alistar, one of the best tower diving supports in the game, that could be an area where we try and see UK legends exploit. Now, their composition as a whole is a classic Jhin composition. You know, Jhin is that infrastructure that opens up the engage with the curtain call, and then you run everything else through it. So Olaf, Poppy can even have an impact. Aurelion Sol dives in there. Alistar dives in there. And you basically chain CC as much as possible. You pick someone off with the curtain call and just try and do as much havoc during that engage potential as possible. And if you can't follow it up because of disengage, if you pick off 1 or 2 kills, that's fine. Then you try and take an objective. You turn that siege around in your favor. Actually, when it comes to just flat out sieging, they're going to struggle. You know, you've got Aurelion Sol and Jhin, who are okay, but again, they become pretty weak when they step up to siege. They will be exploited by the fact that they are playing right into Ryze's hands on the defense. So I don't think we're going to see them engage or even siege by themselves unless they pick someone off. And I think they're going to struggle because if it gets to a split push scenario with Fiora just pressuring a side lane, they're never actually going to get that option. So I think District have got what it takes here, but obviously that can change. You know, Aurelion Sol himself can just roam like crazy, and he can run to the bot lane. They can tower dives happening over and over again, and if Karma and Ezreal get too far behind, you're not really going to have any threat coming from the bot lane.
Ezreal, as we've seen at Worlds, a very strong late game AD carry. When played correctly, can do a huge amount of work. You talk about those auto attacks not always having too much power. I think with Mana Moon and with the Mura Mana upgrades, you know, you can get quite a bit of damage from the auto attacks.
I'm not saying
they don't. I'm not disagreeing with your schedule. Please, God. Yeah, I think Ezreal does surprising amount of damage.
No, for sure.
And he can do a huge amount of work, and if they can get that Ezreal rolling, they definitely have a good shot late game. However, in my opinion, I think UK Legends actually have a stronger composition if they play it correctly. They've got that dive, they've got the Aurelion Sol for the early flanks, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go up towards the top lane. Poppy can CC the Fiora with the Olaf and the Aurelion Sol there as well. I think they have enough damage to do it. Now, both these, I know you disagree. I'm providing the other side of the
That's
argument.
fine. That's fine.
Other side of the
I think a lot of the UK Legends composition relies on being able to get ahead in lanes, which against a team like District is a very risky type of maneuver to make. I definitely think later in the game, they are going to struggle against the flat movement speed that Karma's going to provide, the fact that they will slow down everybody but Olaf if he has his ultimate active with the Nunu. I genuinely think they will struggle, so we'll have to see. I agree that you're providing the other side of the coin, but to me the other side of the coin is dull.
Maybe the UK Legends can get out some of their anti-tarnishing tools and shine it up a little bit. That's as far
that's as far as you went.
Mate, you can do some chemical reactions with it as well. You can oxidize the coin depending on what metal it is. Now, what metal is this coin? Is it the ancient coin in League of Legends, which I have to think is gold because it builds into
gold's
talisman.
not going to oxidize, right?
Well, no. So gold, actually, if it's reacted properly, you could put it in a proper solution and oxidize
So what you're saying is UK Legends need to take the coin, get this solution of quite probably
basically I'm saying I want them to
complex chemical solution,
then they can go golden.
and then brighten their side of the coin.
And put an electrical current through it. So actually I'm surprised they haven't picked Kennen here because that electricity would help them out a lot.
Yeah, because you pick a composition.
Both of these teams went 2-0 in their first week. Now today is going to be the day that we see one of them losing out, or maybe it will be a draw. 1-1 it could be, of course. We are onto the Summoner's Rift here between District and the UK Legends. Let's get right into the action.
Yeah, anyway, so we're going to see, I think, most pressure for UK Legends being put down in the bot lane, especially with the combo of Alistar. If you can force out the Arcane Shift or the Inspire, that gives Alistar free range to look for a headbutt pulverize combo. So especially with the fact that they've got Zandia on this Aurelion Sol. They've also got Bowser on this Olaf. They've got really good tower dive. So I think this is something that they look for. I think the bot lane will be key to them. Like you said, you can definitely dive Phaxi in the top lane, but diving a Fiora can always be very difficult with Riposte. And honestly, you don't really gain much out of it. You know, Fiora will always just come back with teleport. Realistically, you have to go for the lane that you think you could get the most impact out of, and it just makes sense to go bot because you can A, pick off global objectives, which will be obviously primary targets for Candy Floss, and you just get your bot lane ahead. And Sebla being ahead is pretty important here.
I totally agree with you. I think if they can get Sebla ahead, they're in a really good position, but I worry about them actually being able to catch on towards that Ezreal and catch on towards that Karma, because it can be pretty darn difficult to lock down such a safe lane. It does look like UK here on the Alistar took a bit of harassment early game, has positioned himself well. Sebla takes a flame to the face. Not what you want to be doing unless you want to oxidize some gold, in which case, fire is good.
So, okay, so you want to oxidize gold by using Inner Flame.
Yeah.
Okay, I totally see where you're coming from, Sony.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm glad that you do.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something we could discuss on loose desks. Ignite was used in the bottom lane there, exhaust onto Toaster as well.
we're not desks, so we don't qualify for loose desks.
Maybe they have special guests on every now and again.
Loose desks with special guest, 2 humans.
Yeah.
There we go, okay, I get you.
I think you have to really watch your manners in that, because I'm sure in like desk etiquette or desk etiquette, as we like to call it, like you might accidentally put a coffee cup on one of the desks, and then
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
stop oppressing me with your coffee.
That's basically like putting a coffee cup on a human's head.
Yeah, that's
which,
really
you know,
rude.
in general.
Although both of us are quite tall, I'm sure you've like rested on a short person before.
True, I feel like I am going to have to look at that in a whole new light. I have treated short people like
a
desks.
desk.
And that is
Hey
probably.
man, I respect a desk. I'm a desk respecter.
Yeah, and then I like all desks of all types. I like, you know, hardwood, mahogany.
Yeah.
This sort of weird plastic variant that we've got going on here.
The problem with a desk-based show is the disgusting puns that you might get out of it. That would be pretty darn bad. You know, they'd be top drawer.
Hey, those puns will come at the top drawer every time, mate.
That was the joke.
I know. That's why I just copied you.
That was the joke. And still, you'll probably get credit for it. Okay, a little bit of harassment in the middle lane. Zandia actually quite low on mana here. Does need to be a bit cautious because, of course, Ryan's very good at clearing waves with that spell flux. However, this is exactly what Zandia needs to do. Push that wave, push the tempo, stop the Rise from being able to rotate, and then allow himself to try and get into those other lanes and try and snowball his teammates ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from with that respect for sure. The main thing is you just don't allow Rise to put you under tower, because Aurelion Sol, you have to be pretty clever with your use of those meteors specifically, or comets rather. And what are they, comets or meteors? Someone actually explained to me the difference between comets and meteors in, I think it was you. I think you explained to me the difference between comets and meteors at one point.
I feel if I recall correctly,
Meteorite has entered the atmosphere.
Meteorite has entered the atmosphere, and
and
comet has not entered the atmosphere.
Yeah, comets in transit. So technically they're comets, unless you count the League of Legends.
I believe comets are made of ice as well, in the majority, whereas meteorites tend to be made more of solid mass. But it does already look like we're going to see Zandia looking for a roam down towards the bottom side. It's exactly what you called. They have spotted him out. Candy Floss will see him. They might try and turn this one around. Zandia's going to get face checked by Candy Floss. Star Surge comes out, and Zandia just has to run his way away.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's like I said, the most impactful lane to try and get a lot of pressure down, especially when both Toaster and Tor are just essentially running riot on pressure with Sebla. I mean, you saw early on, level 2, I think they have put Ignite down, and already that's opened up to a 10 CS advantage. What this has allowed Kadril to do, though, is just continuously put pressure in that mid lane. He's 10 CS ahead up on Zandia now, so that roam not really working out. And you have to rely on there being poor vision control for this bot lane to make this roam, especially early on when not in conjunction or looking for a tower dead from Bowser. Looks like Kadril actually not able to pick up the kill onto Zandia there because of the stun and the exhaust coming through, but already used all of his summoners now.
That he has. Interesting pickup here as well from the Olaf. You know, Bowser going for the Hunter's Potion, trying to keep himself sustained in the jungle. It makes sense always, but it's not something we commonly see picked up on
Really?
jungle.
I mean, kind of. I mean, we saw it a lot from ANX in the quarterfinals when they were playing Olaf. I mean, they're technically better than us in League of Legends.
Well, yeah, that's not very difficult though, is it? We've been spending the last 20 minutes talking about desks, Scoundrel. I don't think our League of Legends...
What we're trying to do is just convince the viewers that we know things about League of Legends, but if we just, you know, basically buy time with desks, they will realise that we don't know anything.
Sebla will take a little bit of harassment here. Actually dodges out the entire Mantradinal Flame, so good job by him to keep himself safe. Candyfloss once again looking for a bit of counter jungling. In fact, looking to see if he can get onto Zandia in this mid lane. He keeps pushing that wave up. Some good ward control there.
Well, Zandia is actually pretty... well, he's going for a dive in the bot. They're going for bot lane again.
It's exactly what you said was going to happen, but immediately they're back away. Candyfloss will spot them out. And now they might actually look for a fight. No, ward control from Candyfloss straight away. Has that Stalker's Blade already. Tracker's Knife already, so we'll keep himself safe. Now Duix actually with the level 6. Trying to get the damage down onto Zandia. Here comes Bowser as well. Duix tries to get himself away from this one. Will be able to get the Realm Warp to safety. But took a huge amount of pain in return.
Yeah, I think Candyfloss... I think he's spotted out by this pink ward, by the way. He is going to start to clear that one off. I think he just realized and will make that vision disappear. But like I said, you know, this seems to be the plan here for UK Legends. Just get that bot lane ahead. They can't really do much about top lane. They'll probably become an island for the most part of the game. Rotating mid lane when Aurelion Sol is already there is not exactly the most impactful. The best thing you can do is put pressure on this bot lane, but thankfully, thanks to some good positioning from Candyfloss and vision control coming out from these guys, they have managed to spot out most of the roams thus far.
That they have, but actually a big CS advantage taken in the middle lane already. About 15 CS the difference. I mean, Zandia should be able to catch up a few of those now as the wave pushes in towards his tower, but he's still going to be about 10 to 12 behind, which is quite a big advantage. Candyfloss looking for a bit of counter jungling here. We'll have to flash away. Zandia's going to chase in with the Comet of Legend. And Rift Herald is procced as well, but here comes Shikari. And it should be a very dead Nunu. Will fall, try to consume off the Rift Herald, but not going to be enough. Just delayed a little bit there by consuming, but good first kill for Shikari.
I think it's because there was some vision around the Wraiths, or rather the Razorbeaks there for the UK Legends. So they saw Zandia looking to make that counter jungle happen, and he got caught out there. So just a little bit of a vision gone awry, and then they do manage to punish him for that. But it only gives them that 100 gold lead thus far, because the CS is just so wildly in favor of District right now. And that's just because, seriously, lane kind of matchups at this point in time and skill just seems to be well in favor of these guys.
Zebla gets caught out once again with those chains. They'll have to use the heal to keep UK alive. Tota flashes in. Zebla flashes to try and block the Mystic shot, but here comes the rise, and it's goodbye to the bottom lane. Zebla's dead. So it's UK double kill for Kadril as he comes in to secure the kill.
That just looked so easy there for Kadril. Like
hey, point and click.
Every summoner had just been used for the bot lane. He just waltzes in, picks off 2 kills, says thank you very much, and wanders back off towards that mid lane.
But we're talking about the gank potential of Zandia and his ability to roam. And the first roam that really works comes out of Kadril. Like, all he did was ghost down towards the bottom side. Zandia really hasn't been able to do too much.
But you can't impact a lane that's already losing unless you're comboing with your jungle. Because I think at this point, if Zandia made a roam happen bot lane, especially with the fact that you're not pressuring out Arcane Shift or Inspire from either member of District, it's going to be wasted time. And every time he's tried to roam down there, admittedly, he probably tried it a little bit too early, but every time he's tried to roam down there, he's just been losing CS and pressure on towers. And Candyfloss very, very determined to make this happen in his favor with all this counter jungle he's trying to employ.
Absolute Zero comes in. Kadril actually going to be spotted out here by Shikari. Candyfloss there as well. Doesn't have flash. Zandia's going to go in with a Comet of Legend. We'll catch out Candyfloss. It's going to be another dead Nunu alongside his Willump as well. Zandia picks up the kill. Still 20 CS, well 15 CS down in that middle lane though. So still behind, I would have to say, over Kadril, who picked up that double earlier on. Kadril's looking for this.
Yeah, unfortunately, the issue for Candyfloss is he's trying so hard to make this counter jungling Nunu be a thing when he doesn't really need to. He just needs to rely on applying vision to stop the roams of the Aurelion Sol, just knowing where Bowser is. That's the best thing he can do, and then he can look to make counter ganks happen, because to be honest, if this goes even, the lanes probably just win for District, and they end up just winning the game anyway.
Look at how far behind bottom lane is as well. You know, it's a 20 CS disadvantage, or a 22, 23 or so. Close to absolutely destroying Zebla, because that wave was pushing in when they got that double kill under tower as well. He lost a huge wave there. He keeps getting pushed back. There's so much poke from the Karma and the Ezreal, and with the threat of the Rise Roam with Realm Warp coming up, you know, he's approaching that level 11. Excuse me.
What was that?
Okay, it was an attempted suppressed sneeze, because we don't have mute buttons. I was in the middle of a...
Sounded like you regurgitated a cat.
Another topic of discussion for loose desks, obviously. The spate of cat regurgitation when
humans regurgitate cats.
It sounds more like the desk version of Jeremy Kyle. I don't even know what you call that. Some sort of like weird IKEA desks. sort of the cheap desks that you can get.
Jerry
from anywhere.
desks.
Jerry desks.
Jerry Spoon desks.
Once again, Candy Floss coming in for the gank on the bottom side. Does have the absolute zero if he wants to use it, but UK able to knock him up and push them away for now. 1,000 gold the lead for the side of District. Kadra takes a bit of pain, but able to get outside of turret range.
I mean, that travel speed of the Star Surge, it just means that before it even hits, Kadra is managing to land a third HP trade in his favor. And even with it, when it hits, just the trade is not going back in favor of Zandia in any way, shape, or form.
Kadra has already got that tier and the Catalyst of the Aeons as well, so in a really strong position on this rise with Blue. Can absolutely melt through his opposition, and now we start to see Zandia being the one pushed back to tower. He's the one who needs to try and get vision around to watch out for Kadra's roams. Candy Floss going to take away that Scuttler. Cloud Drake is around. Bowser's actually going in for this one. There's the roam once again. Poise of Light will knock him out of it. And there is the absolute zero. Candy Floss looking for a bit more chase here. On towards Zandia. Can slow him down once again. Cage is just off towards the side. And here comes Faxi as well on the Fiora. Going to try and dive in. Bowser's rooted up with that Rune Prism. But Faxi very low underneath tower. The teleport's coming in from Shikari. Not going to be able to chase onto Faxi because Tor is here to keep his top laner alive. Zandia has no place to go. And Cage says, thank you very much. I will overload you for the kill. Shikari needs to try and get himself away, but a Rune Prism will be just off cooldown in a second. He gets caught out, Tor takes the kill, and it turns into a 3-for-0 exchange in favor of District.
And even with Alistair coming to protect this turret here, I don't think he'll be able to do much. They may even be able to take this mid lane tier 1 off the board. They're a little bit scared of the Jhin ultimate, I fear, but Jhin has showed in that bot lane now, as Kadra will get locked up. And actually, it's going to mean he's taking a lot of damage from the Alistair. Exhaust comes out needlessly here.
I would have been afraid of the flash pulverize
into turret
headbutt back. You know, it's always a possibility when you haven't got flash yourself. So
and this is an easy push for Toaster and Tor because we're talking about first turret, which is worth about 1,000 gold for the team. That's going to be pretty impactful. With Alistair having roamed, it just allowed a lot of pressure to come out here for Toaster and Tor onto this tier 1 in the bot lane. But speaking of which, no turret yet has gone down. It feels like it's going to go in favor of District thus far, though. You
have to feel that. I mean, the Alistair's roamed twice as well, UK, trying to get a bit of pressure across the map, but hasn't even got mobility boots yet, isn't as quick as he would like to be. Faxi he's going to get engaged on here by Shikari off towards the top side. Bowser's coming in as well, doesn't land the axe. Going to see if they can continue on the chase, but it's so difficult to gank a Fiora with that lunge. Just able to get herself away.
Absolutely. Bowser is starting to clear out vision. Haven't really talked too much about vision thus far. It's been pretty even between teams. You'd say the edge has been with District. I still haven't seen teams get up to the level that Sensei seem to have on their best days, but District right now seem to be heavily in favor in terms of vision control. They've got a good vision control of the Dragon, which to be honest, I'm surprised Candy Floss hasn't tried to prioritize yet. Has been a late Dragon thus far. Looks like they're trying to look for a dive here onto Kadril as UK come through.
Here they go on to Kadril. Zandia's going to try and put the pain down. Voice of the Light not really doing that much. And Kadril actually able to keep himself alive with those runes. Will get taken down by Bowser, but Candy Floss should be able to chase him out with Tor as well. Don't really see Bowser escaping Candy Floss at the moment. Too sickly, too sweet. Candy Floss will pick up his first kill of the game.
1 for 1, and first brick goes over to District, so they get that big chunk of gold in their favor. So all of that expended just to try and pressure Kadril in this lane, who he seems to be having a good time against Zandia, particularly. Candy Floss with this red buff now, putting pressure onto Zandia himself. Really going to try and force him out. I mean, Candy Floss just taking no damage thus far.
No, the power of Nunu when you get ahead. You know, you get those stacks up, get extra max health as a percentage, which is absolutely huge. And Zandia's going to try and go for the roam. Good flash by Tor to get away from that Star Surge that was coming in as well. Really well at times. UK has to flash away to get himself up. And at the moment, you have to say it's all looking in District's favor. Not able to get early roams off for UK Legends. District able to just pick up the kills here and there when they've needed it, and now they've got to rise with a Rod of Ages stacking up. He's got his tier stacking up. You've got Ezreal with Mana Moon stacking up, and everything. The deck, in fact, is stacked against
Bowser
UK
just gets his blue buff taken.
Blue buff stolen away by Candy Floss, and his life stolen away by Kadril as well. Kadril is absolutely huge at 4 and 1 on this rise.
Yeah, Zandia unfortunately having a tough time on the Aurelion Sol thus far. His roams just haven't been impactful enough. And now Toaster and Tor can rotate to his lane, but Toaster's taking a lot of damage, forced to Arcane Shift across the wall. Problem is, if you don't go in on the Aurelion Soul, he will just beat you from range in most cases. Sebla, I mean, Sebla's dead.
Yeah, Sebla's dead. There's no way out there. There's just nothing you can do. When a Nunu just tanks up tower from behind, perhaps like, you could argue that he shouldn't have been there. I mean, UK was around as well, but now Candyfloss takes a little bit of pain from that Alistar, but Kadriel just absolutely dominating him back in return. Look at that, Overload absolutely melting away the health bar of the cow, and just not much at all that the UK Legends can do to get back into this game.
I feel like they are really struggling here, Sona. Only saving grace, I would say, is that maybe when it comes to a full-on teamfight situation, they could have a slight advantage. Zandia goes in onto Tor, but does manage to miss the stun. And now Zandia could be in a poor position.
Toast is low on mana though, and here comes Bowser. He's arcane shifted in. There's the teleport as well. He does flash out, and we'll get that Mantrid Inspire. Axe is not connecting from Bowser, means that Toast is just able to get himself away. The Ragnarok does come out. Toaster will fall, but Bowser in a bad position as Kadriel comes in from the side as well. Lands the Overload, just needs that Rune Prison. Candyfloss saying, hello, I'm here to secure the kill for my mid laner. Kadriel eventually should pick this one up. Bowser going to keep trying to run his way away. Sebla actually picked up Faxi, so 4 kills. 4 members being able to take down those kills. Tor should get sniped off here as well. One more is enough. No! Not quite going to connect. Shikari trying to get vision for his AD carry, but wasn't able to get it. They manages to snipe him out with a deadly flourish, though.
Yeah.
Nicely done to connect right at the tip there.
Yeah, exactly. And the passive keystone as well, finishing off the job.
Deathfire
Touch.
Deathfire Grasp?
That's the name of the old item, I believe.
Oh, rest in peace, boys.
I know. I know. It's
I
because
just made myself sad.
You saw it on Reddit recently, right?
I've just made myself sad.
I know. Anyway, look at a mid lane tier 1. They're actually going to force the flash out from Zandia, who is on low HP, but it doesn't matter. They pick up another turret in their favor and extend that gold lead to 6k. So could be picking off these kills here and there, but when you're just losing in terms of map pressure, it's not doing you many favors. Candyfloss right now, very tanky. Picked up that Cinder Hulk, which gives him extra max HP as well, remember. I believe it still does that anyway. And obviously with the stacking buffs, he's going to try and apply that pressure, but Bowser immediately realized. 50% bonus. Yes.
Yeah, it gives you a bunch. And then, of course, you have that consume as well on top of that. UK is going to spot out Candyfloss. A 3-level disadvantage between the jungler and the support. Just a single level between these two supports at the moment. But you have to think that there's not really many ways for UK Legends to get back into this one. Riftel is about to go off the map.
I mean, Sebla's not doing enough damage either. No. You kind of need him to be that sort of carry.
It's a strong position indeed for the side of District, and it's exactly what we expected before we got into the game as well, you know? Can be very powerful. Kadriel trying to ghost in on towards Zandia, not going to be able to connect for now. 6,000 gold the lead, however, for District, and they're just looking to close this one out. Now, if you are District right now, you want to be looking at this second tier of towers, maybe give the Rift Herald over to Faxi, which is exactly what they're going to try and do, and allow him just to face up into Shikari, who is actually in an okay position, you know? He's only 10 CS behind, he's picked up an extra assist. So that Poppy is actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, but it depends, you know, it's great that Poppy's doing a good job. Great that Poppy's not getting dominated by Faxi in the top lane, but, you know, what is Poppy going to do for you in the late game? You need someone that's going to contend with Fiora's split push. Yeah, maybe if you pick up Iceborne Gauntlet, that might be something that you can do. But you either need her to make a really impactful play in a teamfight situation, or you're just not. She's not really doing much. It doesn't matter that she's doing okay against Fiora. You need her to have some sort of role for your team. And that role either has to be being an engage tool or even like a split tool if you try and make an engage happen with the Jhin ultimate, or you need her to be able to duel effectively against Faxi, which as the game goes on is going to be harder and harder for her.
I don't think Kadriel anticipated the way that wave was going to push, because it's actually pushing away from him. He looked like he was set up for a gank of someone coming across. Sanji's going to get caught out. Good Star Search Sun, but half of his health gone in response, and the Dragon's going to go down as well towards District, so they're starting to pick up these objectives, starting to try and close out the game. The question is whether the UK Legends actually have a way back into this. You know, you've got the Jhin who's gone Essence Reaver first, which is not the most common of builds on Jhin. We're used to seeing that double penetration, you know, getting a Duskblade, maybe getting a Black Cleaver as well, just to do a little bit more damage, but Ghostblade as well, yep.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting build for Jhin. A lot of people have coined using Essence Reaver as his first build item. It certainly makes some sense. I'm still much more in favor of going down the Black Cleaver, already the just Ghostblade, Duskblade route. But honestly, this is an okay way for him to go as well. Probably more down the basic attack route rather than trying to use his ultimate to be significantly impactful. which is kind of where I think he feels like he needs to be, because this is not going to be... Oh, wow, okay, Bowser taking a lot of damage.
Into Bowser. Shikari's on the corner of the Grand Challenge has gone down. Faxi looking to see if he can take that blue. Zandia says, excuse me, I would like my own Bowser, and Shikari gets it instead. Shikari, sorry, not the best person to have a blue buff on Poppy. Doesn't really do a huge amount with it.
At least it's on their team.
Well, yes, that's true, but I don't think Faxi was going to get that one anyway. There are some wards around this Baron pit. The district are starting to clear out. They've got Faxi split pushing, is exactly what you said, and doesn't have the Grand Challenge for a good minute or so now. Candy Frost gets stunned up, looking for the engage. Actually went in with the absolute zero. Here comes Zandia. Toaster takes a bit of pain. Off towards the backside, but towards just off towards the side, locking down member after member. Zandia will be the first to fall, and they're going to chase Bowser underneath the turret as well. Jin catches her out with the Deadly Flourish. Now Faxi's joined the fray, and actually instead of using their Fiora to split push, they're using their Rise.
Well, he's a
strong position.
He's a lot stronger, so
here
why
comes.
not? Okay.
Sebla's the target. Shikari picks up Tor. There's the exhaust on towards Kadriel. UK trying to get on top of him, but Sebla has to flash away from Faxi. Shikari, the last man standing outside of his base, needs to try and keep himself alive. Will flash away, and Kadriel actually tanking up the tower for a long time here. There comes the ultimate. UK will fall. Toaster jumps in, is able to flash himself away. And the Curtain Call not able to pick up the kills they needed from it. Bowser and Shikari chasing out Faxi. They have to be so cautious there. Bowser going very aggressive when the tower is falling. And they actually just give up the mid lane tower in exchange for nothing.
So what they're actually doing is a 1-3-1, because Rise, without teleport, doesn't necessarily need teleport to make things work. He can essentially use Realm Warp and get into the fray without the need for that summoner spell. And because he's in such a strong position, and he's got such good wave push with that Flux, he just literally doesn't need to be in team fights. He 1v1s anybody on the side of UK Legends right now, so why not just use him in that split push pressure? You know, combo that with Fiora quite nicely. Then you have a 1-3-1 with pressure in every single lane. You only need, really, Karma and Candy Floss to make your disengage work, and if I'm completely honest with the way that Sebla is built, you aren't even worried about the engage from the Curtain Call now. It's not something that I think is actually going to be an issue for District for quite a long time. So they can very happily 1-3-1, and even if the engage comes through, they probably survive it regardless.
That they do. 11-7 the scoreline. 9,000 gold the lead at the moment for District. They're in such a strong position. They do secure the Rift Scuttler. Well, actually, sorry. UK Legends secure the Rift Scuttler, so they have a bit of vision around that Baron pit. However, you know, you can see it in District's eyes. They want to gain vision around there. They know they can take it incredibly quickly with the Rise, with the Fiora, with the Nunu there as well. They will absolutely melt through that objective. They have that Cloud Drake under their belt as well. Looking for an engage here to Zandia, who will use the Common of Legend to get himself away. But look at Rise. Like, Kadriel was very happy just to split push in the top lane, and at the moment we don't see a reaction coming out from UK Legends. Bowser's going up now.
They don't feel like they can. Like, they need to either force an engage with the Curtain Call. They can't actually respond in a split push scenario. Even Faxi right now.
Warp out. All it does just gets him away. Realm walks out towards safety. Faxi still splitting, as you say. Doing a great job here. Bowser now has to pop the Ragnarok just to get away from Tor and Kadriel. Good double knock-up though. Can Sebla do the damage? Here comes Zandia as well. Absolute Zero splits up the team. Zandia off towards the bottom side. Bowser's dead. Kadriel takes him down, and now the District line up to pick up their next kill. They're looking for Zandia as well. Tor doing some work off towards the side. Voice of Light comes out. They engage from Alistar. Toaster's locked up. Sebla still alive in the back of this fight, but UK not alive for very much longer. Zandia trying to take down the support. Here comes the Curtain Call. Zandia gets melted away towards the side, and it's only Sebla and Shikari left alive. Faxi's still pushing in on towards that Poppy, stopping her from being able to join her team. Rune Prison comes down. There's the Spellbox. There's Toaster. Toaster's not quite going to fall. They pick up the kill. 4-for-none exchange as we see District absolutely dominating UK Legends all over the face of the Summoner's Rift.
I told you, I just thought the UK's Legends composition, if they didn't get ahead in lane, then they just didn't have a leg to stand on. And that's why they tried to make such an impact in the bot lane, because they weren't going to win the 1v1 Zandia Rise. You know, Rise will always win that in almost every situation. To be honest, Aurelion Sol is not a 1v1 champion. He's there to have an impact. And actually, we're going to see a surrender coming out from UK Legends. Not
commonly you see a surrender at this sort of level of play, but UK Legends know that their game is done and dusted. No way they could get back into that against District, who are, when you've got an 8-on-1 Rise, you really don't want to be facing up into that too much at all.
I think that, you know, that mostly I don't like to see surrenders in competitive play, but if I'm honest, that was conclusion all but foregone.
Yeah.
You know, end of the day, you had Fiora split pushing. She was always going to win versus Poppy. Wasn't dominating Poppy, but Poppy was never going to push her back, so you were always going to be receiving pressure in that side lane, especially that Titanic Hydra was where she went. Sorry, not Titanic. Ravenous Hydra was the route that she chose. She was going to push waves far faster than Poppy was going to be able to push back, especially with Poppy not going something like an Iceborne Gauntlet. Then you had the mid lane, the 1v1 matchup between Zandy and Ryze. I mean, that
did not have the best
and they could go into a 1-3-1 because, to be honest, Kadril just dominated and no one was going to 1v1 Kadril effectively. So you saw that they tried to put pressure on the bot lane because that was their only winning play, right? You get Sebla ahead and he carries your team. You can then force engages with Sebla doing huge amounts of damage. But that didn't go very well. That forced him to go down, I would say, the Essence Reaver build because he felt like he was going to have to be doing more kiting, more basic attack orientated. But that just wasn't the case. They never got that opportunity. And their teamfight composition was one of those compositions that was designed to be the ones driving forward. They were supposed to be using Jhin Ultimate, comboing that into Poppy engage, Olaf engage, Aurelion Sol engage, but they never made it happen because they were just too far behind. You cannot engage when you're that far behind because you will probably just end up losing.
And it's exactly what happened for them, District able to take it out 1-0. We'll be back with the next game in the series in just a second, I believe. We're just about getting into the lobby and getting set up. In fact, we could probably just keep talking until
No, I think we've got a 2-minute break.
We've got a 2-minute break. They didn't say that in my ear. Did they say that in your ear?
Is
the desk speaking to you and not to me? Desk, please. Please, desk, talk to me.
Look, I didn't want to tell you about this, Sona, but I am opening up my new desk show.
Seance.
It's Most Haunted Desks. And I am the desk medium. And the desk is telling me that we have a 2-minute break to go to. Big thanks to Multiplay Game and AOC Monitors. I know, it was so good. Well done you. But we have a 2-minute break. And we'll be back very shortly with this next game between UK Legends and every time I get District.
Telekinesis.
Welcome back to the UK Deskers, and I'm here with, well, a desk and some humans. So that is us. And
we are the humans.
I feel like this is just going to become a running meme, and we'll try not to kill it. It might have been already been killed.
I think I killed it with telekinesis.
It was more funny to you than it was to everyone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are coming back, and there's the real people, Sona and Scoundrel. I am Sona, he's a Scoundrel.
Desks aren't real people?
No, anyway. We are going to go into the next game of this best of two between District and... District and UK Legends. Oh, Sona.
So District dominant in the first game, really, absolutely. There's not really much more you can say. It looked like UK Legends had a composition to roam early on. They never really got it off. Too much vision control coming out from District. And as soon as we saw Kadril getting ahead on that Ryze, as soon as we saw that Nunu actually doing work in the enemy jungle, there was really nothing that UK Legends could do to get back into it. They were choked out of the game.
To be honest, it was a classic case of win lane, win game.
Yeah.
We always talked about this during the last season of the ESL Premiership where Renegades Banditos were playing. It was kind of like that with M&M, but more with Renegades Banditos. They had this style of they just won the lane because they were better players in the frank sense of things, and they won the game off that. It didn't actually matter about tactics, didn't actually matter what they wanted to employ. They basically won lane, one game. We are into pick and bans now, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, this is a best of 2, so this could be a draw if UK Legends bring this back. It is going to be an Evelynn ban against Candy Floss. It is great when a jungler pulls out a completely non-meta ban because it means that you have more opportunity to pick something up on your side. Victor going to be banned out here as well.
Again, like slightly non-meta. Victor's still, like, he's on the edge of meta. He's not the Syndra, he's not Vlad, Ori, Cassio. Those are sort of standard mid lane picks. Aurelion Sol, of course, as well. Victor kind of falls into the, if someone's really comfortable on him, he can still be pretty powerful. And of course, Kadriel is incredibly strong on that Victor. Nidlee's going to be the next ban out here from District.
I mean, in general, the mid lane meta seems to be Syndra and Victor. Like, if those are open, those will get picked in mid lane. So if you're any good at a mid lane right now, you're good at Victor. It's going to be Kennen, the final ban, and Syndra finally. He's actually left open quite a lot, and Shikari instantaneously going to lock in that Jace.
And Nars still on the cards here as well. You can play Poppy up into what?
It just reminds me of a Reddit post where someone said, "Oh, we've seen you play Gnar twice into Jace. Why didn't pick it a third time?" It was the ANX H2K game.
Yeah, as much as the Jace did really well into Gnar there, I have to say, Gnar, like, he's okay into Jace. Like, you can stay pretty safe, you can farm, you don't have to take too much harassment, you get health back whenever you go into your
problem is you're very punished by a shock blast, Max.
Yes, you just have to dodge it.
Easier said than
no,
done.
Just sidestep.
Anyway, the Caitlyn, which was banned for Toaster previously, is now going to be picked up on that first rotation. This is something I said in the first set of games. Like, people are prioritizing Caitlyn right now.
And Karma as well, actually. Surprised. Oh, well, she's banned.
She's banned, yeah. We're going to see Elise finally, and it's going to be also, I'm assuming Poppy is a...
No, it could be Jace Mid. Jace Mid.
That's very true, actually. It could be. It's something that I would not be surprised to see Zandia playing.
I'm surprised to see... If it is the Poppy lock, which it obviously could be a placeholder for something.
Sure.
I'm surprised to see the Poppy locked in so early, because you give away the fact that you're playing the Jace mid. You could flex that so effectively into your next round of picks. Poppy and Nami locked in here. AD carries left. You're probably going to go across towards that Jhin again. That's what Sebula was playing.
Well, this is given away that if this is not a placeholder, which to be honest, you'd probably pick something a little bit more random than Poppy if it's going to be a placeholder.
Like Aatrox or a Kali or something weird.
This is given away that it's Jace mid. You could have played this a little bit more subtle, and you could have drafted. You could have drafted saying, "Well, Jace is a top laner, right? So let's just make them think that Jace is top lane." That kind of skews the pick that comes in for District, and then you could have been running Jace mid as a surprise, and it could have been thoroughly impactful. But it doesn't look like it's going to be the case this time round.
I'm actually surprised. We see the Zyra hover here. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Zyra today. This would be the first time she's been picked up if she's picked. Really strong support at the moment, especially into these squishy range supports that we're seeing.
Sure.
She works like into Karma, she does a pretty good job. Into Nami as well, very, very powerful. Into Braum especially, so strong. Because you put your plants down, it's very difficult for Braum to get on top of you. You can block Winter's Bites with it. You do a huge amount of damage as well. It's not going to be locked in because they hate me, but it's going to be the Lulu and the Echo lock here.
It's one of these things that I've learned over the
Never talk about
a pick until it gets locked in. It could actually be Lulu mid or support. Now, actually, to be completely frank, it's likely I'm thinking that's going to be support Lulu, just mainly as it's kind of going semi-protect the Caitlyn here.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what Caitlyn can do with 4 items behind her, essentially single-handedly carrying. And someone like Toaster, who's so positionally gifted, it just makes it that much easier having a Lulu on board too. So Lulu going to be seeing play for the first time in quite a while. The last time we kind of see Lulu played was when she had that rise when Kog'Maw did on-hit magic damage with his Bio Echo Barrage. He just stuck him with Lulu and you just put help picks and suddenly just
fairies in your face.
Yeah, mental amount of damage. So
so you expect it to be the Lulu support, as you say. You got a different pick in the mid lane. Now Echo into Poppy is the matchup we're going to see in top. Of course, could be a mid lane Echo. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Kadriel does play mid lane Echo.
The risk with that is you're playing into a Jace who's obviously got that range advantage over you. So
yeah, but you are very good at gap closing.
Yeah.
Now, he does a lot of damage as well in that particular sense. It's going to be... I'd like this much more into the Jace picking the Rise, Kadriel, because you actually trade quite efficiently into Jace anyway. This is an interesting pick for Zandia, though. Like, to take this Jace into the mid lane, it's risky. Jace classically kind of excels at split pushing. By taking Jace into the mid lane, he's in a shorter lane, you're more easily ganked. you have to have more impact with your shock blast than you would in the top lane. You
and
don't
it's a
have
bit more difficult because the angles are a bit harder in mid lane as well.
And you don't have those
tighter.
extended fights as well.
Yeah.
Jace excels in extended fights. Doesn't really happen in mid lane because the lane's a lot shorter, so things tend to be more explosive. That's where Ryze kind of has your trump card in that particular sense. The actual Poppy Echo matchup is something that Echo can do quite well into. You know, the 3-hit lol meme passives that everybody has. It does well into Poppy.
The Z drive resonance.
The Z drive resonance, indeed. He actually trades quite efficiently into Poppy, especially since he does a lot of magic damage, and he'll probably end up going down that AD route. Kind of makes it confusing for Poppy to know where to itemize. You want to itemize into a Sunfire Coat because you know that it'll be effective as the game progresses, but it means you lose your early game defenses against.
You can always go
Spectre's Cowl,
Barmy Cinder, Spectre's Cowl, Sunfire Cape, which is what we tend to see Poppy's doing in that
Sure.
sort of situation. It's like the old Maokai build where you build, you know, Barmy Cinder and then you build a Glacial Shroud. It'd be like, well, oh no, sorry, Spectre's Cowl and a Glacial Shroud. And it's like, well, I've got this,
Sure.
I've got enough to work in the mid game with these resistances.
So I think we should talk specifically about compositions now, because it is that wonderful moment known as the 3-minute delay, where we have this oodles of time to talk about stuff.
We're so similar, do it. When you see yourself on screen, like, look at that. Basically the same person right there. It's disgusting.
I was doing this before you, just so
yeah,
you
I
know.
was copying
Yeah,
it,
okay.
obviously.
You're about to take a drink and you're like, oh, I'm still on camera, I can't do it.
Let's talk about the UK Legends. Poppy Elise, first time we've seen her tonight. We got the Jace locked in and the Ezreal Nami. Now, Ezreal Nami, known as a very safe lane. You've got Tycaller's Blessing to empower those Mystic Shots, empower those auto attacks a little bit more, and you've got the sustain from Ebb and Flow.
Yeah, sorry, my nose was just getting into that picture frame there. I know it's
That's
difficult.
my whole head.
I know it's difficult with this.
I'm going to stand back and allow you to talk to your camera if you want to.
Oh, there it is. It's just coming in the nose.
Oh, mine's in that one. Okay.
Anyway.
Who knows what action we will see on the Rift? I don't.
Anyway, no, I ruined that for you. Sorry.
I feel we're being a bit mean to production because you keep starting to make a big point and they're like, oh, quick, camera on X-Scoundrel. And then it's like, no, I'm going to interrupt. And then you interrupt and it's just all, it's my hand randomly shot now.
Okay. Anyway, composition from UK Legends.
Studio, guys.
And now I've got 1 minute 20 to talk about these compositions.
Thank goodness for that.
Anyway. Right. Poppy likely has...
I think we should table this discussion for now, or we could put it on the desk.
Let's shelf it.
Wonderful desk.
Anyway, Siege, they've got good Siege with Jace and Ezreal, and they have a decent pick with Nami and Ezreal. Oh, for goodness sake, I can't even... Okay, do you know what, guys? I'm done.
Can you not shut the keyboard? Okay, let's have a talk about the other team composition now. What you guys don't realise is because of the way our microphones are set up, Excalibur's actually tied to the desk.
I'm still stuck here.
He's actually
still stuck here.
over
I can't
towards
go
the side, which is great. Let's have a quick talk about this side coming out from District as well. Echo, Nunu, Ryze, Caitlyn, Lulu. Lulu, as you said, we don't see that commonly as a support anymore. Has taken Ignite in this lane as well, Excandrel. Let's be serious and talk about why that's quite a good pick into an Ezreal and Army.
It's not. It's just because they want to win lane.
That's why it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, it kind of reduces healing onto the Nami. Like, if you just throw it on Nami, then obviously, you know, you'll reduce healing coming from her specifically into herself. It's kind of like that win lane tactic. And they played so well, they don't really have to worry about that many people in terms of landing and exhaust. So why not just take the Ignite? You think you're good enough to win lane? That's the only reason as a Lulu you would take Ignite if you want to be aggressive and try and win the lane with it. So makes sense in that respect. The overall composition, though, in the way it's structured, is specifically good peel for Caitlyn, win lane, win game again type thing. You've got protect the Caitlyn as the game progresses. Nunu can absolute zero. Caitlyn has Ryze to lock up. They've got the parallel convergence to lock up, and they've got wild growth if things do get dicey. But honestly, they won't. So again, protect the Caitlyn composition coming through, and it's perfectly viable to run in this current meta with how strong Caitlyn is.
Earlier on as well, you talked about Nunu into Elise because we saw Elise picked into Elise, in the first game of the day, and I said Elise picked into Nunu. So and I said, why don't you just pick Elise? Elise is pretty powerful, does a lot of work, very strong jungler at the moment, very strong early game. And you said you think the Nunu works better into the Elise.
If
why
you're gonna,
is that?
Because Nunu, I love these really serious points you're setting up from you, my friend. Essentially, Elise goes a little bit lower in her jungle clears. She doesn't clear as quickly sometimes as Lee Sin, so you can just go in and just abuse the fact that you will be able to run in steel camps, and she probably won't have much to say about it as well. Also, but the only thing that Elise does have that Lee Sin doesn't, and this is something we saw with Rek'Sai, is she can impact lanes a little bit more readily than Lee Sin can in the early game. And the way you punish a Nunu is by saying, I realize that my jungle is going to get invaded, so I won't be in my jungle. I will be in lanes trying to make things happen over and over again. And we actually saw that Candy Floss didn't really gank that much. much, you know, like we saw Tyrion do as well. He was mainly focused on objective control. Candyfloss did a better job of counter ganking than Tyrion did, but to be honest, Tyrion's objective control was better, so it's one trade-off for the other. Again, this is going to be an interesting matchup. We also see Zandia taking in the Ignite, so he's pretty confident in his ability to 1v1 Kadril on his Jace.
It's something we saw, talking about that jungle matchup just a little bit more. Draw a blank when he played that Rek'Sai. Really strong early game ganker, got that bot lane so far ahead. That's what I want to see Bowser doing here. You know, you need to try and scale up one of your lanes, whether it be tower diving. You could tower dive the Echo Priest 6 after that.
Tower dive. We must tower dive.
Yeah, we must, man.
That was a Nunu bot quote. Just thought I'd add
heart. Anyway, yes, so I think if you tower dive the Echo Pre-6, you're okay, because you don't have that chrono break. But after that, you're in a bit.
Any time that you spend in the top lane when you don't have a hyper carry is wasted. So there's no way they spend time in the top lane.
So where'd you dive? Do you dive the Rise?
Yeah, you dive bot lane. You just dive bot lane.
It's pretty difficult to dive a Lulu and a Caitlyn.
Pre-6, not really.
You've got Whimsy.
Yeah, but you just dive them.
Whimsy is so powerful.
You just dive them.
You Whimsy just before someone tries to repel out. Pretty darn difficult. Zandia already trying to put some pain onto Kadril and doing a pretty good job of it, winning out the trade early on.
I think this is the one level where you are going to have a massive advantage as the Rise.
He's giving up on farm. He's just like, I just leave these CS. He missed 2 CS. He's missed all 3 of the first CS. Zandia, it's not a good lesson to be teaching aspiring mid laners.
Well, you know, you have a very strong level 1 as Jace. You know, if you're consistently changing form and just getting advantage of those on-hit passives that you get from each of your weapons, you actually trade very easily into Ryze, because Ryze relies on his combination of abilities to make his damage happen. Level 3 is where he'll start to do some serious return damage. If you can just force him away and get that level 2 advantage, you can use Shock Blast Acceleration Gate and start to win the lane from there.
That's exactly what he's tried to do. Good Shock Blast Acceleration Gate straight onto Kadril's face. He'll have to back away, and Zandia's now going to try and put some pressure on towards the enemy jungler as well, trying to force Candyfloss out, just waiting. Candyfloss does have Smite, should be able to pick that one up himself. Tor puts a huge amount of pain onto UK, he has to flash away from the build over Peacemaker. Sebla with the Tidecaller's Blessing tries to get on towards Tor. Did have to use the heal as well, so heal, flash, and exhaust burnt in that bottom side. Sebla, the only one on the side of the UK Legends with a summoner left alive. You need to be very, very careful, because although Nunu ganks aren't the most prevalent things early on, you can still do a bit of work when your support does not have a flash. Zandia's taking a lot of damage from these siege minions. Ignite! Flash away from Kadril. Zandia's dead! Oh, if he got the last auto attack, he probably would have survived because of the dangerous game mastery, which he's probably taking. Bowser misses the cocoon onto Candyfloss. Now Bowser needs to be a little bit cautious. I mean, Kadril is very, very low and probably just wants to push up the wave, but could have come across there to catch out on the Elise. Decides against it.
Yeah, and actually Candyfloss now will be able to just continue to take away some of his camps. Hasn't yet taken his blue, still on the table, so he can go back and get that as he pleases. Faxi actually having a little bit of a tough time against Shikari, but the minions will be doing some serious work here for Faxi, and he knows it, so he's happy to jump back into that trade very readily. Has actually used all of his corrupting potion stacks now, as has Shikari, so going very brutally toe-to-toe in this top lane thus far.
Something we haven't talked about a huge amount is the ability to use Steadfast Presence and stop that Echo actually jumping into your backline, jumping into your team. Because Phase Dive's on a shorter cooldown than Steadfast Presence, but if you can stop the initial engage...
It's all about proccing parallel convergence. That's what he could be very good at doing. If you rely on that Phase Dive to get and proc your parallel convergence, then you're in a position where you know that could be very effective. It won't be as effective just stopping Phase Dive in general. Depending on where
Yanked in the mid lane. It's going to happen. We'll go over to it in a second. Bowser jumps in onto Kadril. Now Candyfloss came in right the perfect moment. Zandia does dodge out that overload. Will take some more damage. Second overload comes out from Kadril. Will take him out. And now Bowser in an awful position. Needs to try and get himself back towards safety.
I love the way you say his name. Bowser.
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 Now Bowser is in a dangerous position.
Mate, if I were going to say his name like that, I'd be talking to you a little bit more often, Bozo. It's a really bad insult. It was an awful. Anyway, huge minion wave going to go into the tower there. Zandia's going to lose out a huge amount. Now, Bowser. Is that right?
Is Bowser,
gets caught out,
is
overload.
Bowser dead? Yeah, Bowser's
Kadril,
dead.
one auto attack, repel over to the Grump. Bowser survives for now. The princess is in another castle.
I actually jumped the gun a little bit there.
You did, man. That's why I do the play-by-play, and you insult me.
I don't insult you. I'm actually.
I love how you pronounce his name incorrectly.
No, it wasn't insulting. It was just a funny moment for me, Bowser. It's just sometimes when you don't exactly think about the way you pronounce
Ghost
things.
in by
Yeah,
Cage. We're going to look for the kill. Actually, we didn't even use Ghost. She's got extra movement speed. And Zandia has had an awful time. Had that early aggression that worked out pretty well for him until he died.
I'll be completely honest. This is not
him.
unlike Zandia. Zandia is very prone to tilting, and sometimes won't exactly hold his horses if he is behind. He'll look to continuously try and make plays to get back into the game. He's still ahead on CS, but
that's because Cadrill's just decided not to farm.
No, he's farming Zandia now. He's not farming minions.
If you add up the kills Cadrill has onto his CS, is actually equal.
I'm actually very impressed with the way Candyfloss has been looking to exploit this Jace, because like I said, in the shorter lane, Jace is much easier to gank, and without that flash on board, he is a very, very easy target for Candyfloss and Cadrill to like lock into. Nunu ganks more effectively into a laner that's got some CC, and well, I'll tell you what, Ryze has got CC on a very short cooldown. Didn't manage to block that phase dive actually, so Faxi mini win of the trade, but to be honest, with the Barmy Cinder on board right now for Shikari, I don't see Faxi doing particularly well in many of these engages. He's also picked up the Dark Seal, so he also is confident in his ability in this top lane.
I think he's just confident that he can survive. You know, if he picks up an assist or a kill here or there, it's a bonus. He knows he's probably not going to dive. He's got Flash, he's got Chrono Break, and he's got to pause. So we wait for these teams just to sort out what's going on exactly. Candyfloss is the one to pause, says he's got a game bug. So hopefully nothing major going on there. But big lead already taken for Cadril. It looked actually like if Zandia had picked up that first kill, this game would have an entirely different complexion. But at the moment, it looks more like the UK Legends need a bit of pimple removal or some, blush to hide some of the blemishes in their team composition, in their mid lane.
I mean, talking about blemishes being Zandia.
Yes, Zandia is the blemish at the moment for the UK Legends.
Yeah, he had the right idea, but I think against someone like Cadril, you can't win lane at level 1 and expect to just stable from there. It's not solo queue. You're going to get punished by using your flash aggressively and not getting anything for it. And when you combine Nunu and Arise with that Rune Prison, that constant slow from Ice Blast, like, that is just going to punish a short lane Jace. Jace excels at his ability to generate movement speed by switching forms, using Acceleration Gate, which is so good in the top lane. You can get over some very sticky situations. But in the mid lane, that's far harder to do. You have that shorter lane. You don't exactly get a huge amount of movement speed from changing form, and that Acceleration Gate is a limited amount of movement speed, which can be very quickly counteracted by that Ice Blast from Nunu. So, again, Nunu, we talked about him not really being a ganking jungler, but he will take the free kills where he gets them, and he's found a lot of good pressure in that mid lane.
That he has. Looks like we're getting back into the game in just a second, guys. So very short pause here, and it wouldn't be the UK scene unless we had a pause on day 1 of the action there. Should be back into the game. Bowser actually trying to steal away this blue buff. Will get it for himself, but gets straight into Toaster's face. I don't see how Bowser's going to escape from Toaster here. 1 shot from the bush, 2 shots from the bush. Toaster picks up a blue for himself and takes his first kill of the game. Cadrill's going to get on towards Zandia as well. Used the Ghost to try and get in. Won't be able to connect too much on towards that. Jason, at the moment, a 4-kill lead with a couple of thousand gold in the bank, and a Candyfloss coming down towards the bottom side of the rift.
Faxi's actually struggling. Sorry, I was talking about Faxi in the top lane while this is happening.
Well, yeah, you were, because you were looking at the
I know, I just noticed that nothing was going to really happen from that bot lane gank because the flash was there, but Faxi's actually starting to struggle against Shikari. Has now managed to sustain up with those corrupting potions, but Shikari is doing the same. This is just because the Barmy Cinder is providing a far better trading tool for the Poppy than it is for the Echo. I mean, Echo's got a Doran's Ring and a Dark Seal, which aren't going to really translate further than the laning phase, to be honest. Whereas Barmy Cinder will translate quite nicely.
Just picked up a Sheen for himself there, so has quite a good spike of damage with that Sheen, getting those on hits as much as you can. Candyfloss looks to be stealing away the red buff as well if he can. Actually, not deciding to go for it just quite yet. Now Faxi going in on towards Shikari, flashes in, tries to get that Time Winder back, dodges out the Keybit's verdict beautifully, and Faxi takes down Shikari.
Very nice play. And just as I was talking about Faxi really struggling, he actually did the very useful trick that some Echoes don't quite know, which is buying items and using your ultimate to get back to lane. So didn't even have to waste the teleport, came straight back with the Sheen, and then before Shikari could even react, before he could see the teleport, he was under the thumb of a lot of pressure coming out from Faxi. He didn't even bother flashing because he knew he was never going to flash out of range of phase dive there.
Yeah, it was a great phase dive by Faxi. Put on his dancing shoes. His hips did not lie up against Shikari and was able to take down the kill. Candyfloss did take away that red buff eventually. Realm Warp is in the realm of possibility here for Cadril. Tor will die, but Zandia's going to lock down with the Rune Prison. Jumps onto Toaster. The heal is just enough to keep Toaster alive. Kadrill is on a rampage. Here comes the Realm Walk straight onto UK's face. Nami does pop the exhaust straight away. Kadrill still tanking up the tower. Here comes Candyfloss as well, but Kadrill very low. Ace in the hole, not up for Toaster at the moment. It's about 30 seconds away. Flash in by Sebla, looking for the kill. There's the Rune Prisons. Does still have the heal. Can bait this out a little bit, but the absolute zero from Candy. Goodbye! Double kill for Candyfloss.
Oh, that was just so telling. Candyfloss stood there channeling. Obviously,
Oh, Bowser.
Bowser's coming in.
Oh, Cocoon lands onto Toaster. He's going to flash in. Venomous Bite's enough. He's going to repel up, but look at how much mana Duix Kadrill has.
Oh, wow, that was a good last basic attack and red buff proc for Candyfloss, because to be honest, Kadrill would have gone down there as well. Shikari now trading into Faxi. Here comes the parallel convergence. Here comes the ultimate. Sona, take over from me because I'm doing a job.
Okay, it's done. FaZe dives in, gets a Z-Drive resonance down, or Z-Drive resonance, as our friends across the pond say it.
Z-Drive resonance.
Z-Drive buys. 3,000 gold the lead, 9-2. And once again, Kadrill on Rise is absolutely flipping massive. He's got a Rod of Ages finished at 10 minutes in the game. He's got a tier. That's stacking up. And at the moment, the tiers he is claiming seem to be coming from Zandia, who has died 4 times already this game.
And he is Zandia doing a good job in keeping up with farm, however, compared to last game. He's roaming every time he pushes the lane up, but unfortunately he's roaming within sight of District. So they know where he's going, and that's why every time he tries to step into the lane, there's always someone there to respond. UK... I've accidentally just put it in half time on my screen, so I was wondering why everything was going super slow motion, and now I realise.
Wait, that's the desk coming back at you because you said my teledesknesis joke wasn't that funny.
Yeah, it teledesknesis to my speed on my spec client to half speed. For some reason I just thought there was some sort of added in-game effect where everything was going super slow.
It's
but
like new Zilean ultimate, guys. Confirmed here first. Assassin that halves the speed of every other champion in the game.
That'd be pretty cool.
Assassin update. How would Zilean work as an assassin? He would never work as an assassin.
No, but I mean a time-based assassin that halved every kind of speed of the enemy.
But how would that be an assassination ability?
I don't know. It just sounds
maybe if
cool.
he did that and then moved at normal speed for like 5 seconds. And it's like,
have you ever seen the film Looper?
Like The Flash. Yes, I've seen Looper.
So a little bit like that, time-based assassin.
Bowser's going to get caught out here. Overload comes down. There's a Rune Prison as well. Zandia's going to try and protect his Elise, but look at the damage from the Spell Flux. One more Overload's enough, and Zandia has no place to go. He goes to the skies, but he's going to go back to the fountain. Once again, Kadrill picks up the kill. It's a double for him. He's 6-0-3.
I mean, this is one of those games that looks pretty foregone from the outset. Toast is actually going to pick up the turret, maybe.
Nope. Wild Growth will get him alive for now. Ignite down onto Sebla. Will survive. Not quite able to pick up the turret. UK's trying to go for the chase. Tidecaller's blessings himself to try and get the slows down. Ace in the hole. UK tried to block that one up. Probably not the best idea. You know, Sebla does have that Doran's blade to give himself a little bit of lifesteal. They will get first turret in the mid lane here. 11 kills to 2, up 5,000 gold. Well, 6,000 gold is the lead for them now. Tor flashes in. Sebla's going to get slow. Toaster gets exhausted, but he's very awake to picking up the kill. UK will die as well. Flashes, even with the shot following him up back. And every single lane is ahead here for District.
And now Candyfloss just walking straight. This is what I was talking about in the Elise Nunu matchup. Elise just doesn't really trade very easily into Nunu.
I think it helps when the Nunu has 3 kills and 5 assists over the Elise.
No, I know.
Probably gives them a slight benefit.
Yeah, okay. Smart.
Just a tiny one.
Butt.
It's like me saying, oh yeah, you know the Syndra into Karthus matchup? Well, Syndra wins that 10 times out of 10 when she has 10 kills under her belt, and the Karthus is 0-10.
Yeah, but okay, that's just an accentuation of what I was talking about in the particular matchup.
It is.
Anyway.
I
mean, I suppose I had to find something to talk about in this game because there's not much to analyze apart.
We can go back to desks if you want.
I mean, I think we've talked enough about desks.
It was disgusting.
It's like we are. They are discussing open mid in chat right now, so that's where we've got to at this point in time. I think it's the most interesting analysis that I can come up with. It's a 5 Doran's, 5 longswords Jace.
Maybe he thinks brutalizers is still an item. Rest in peace.
I know he's trying. No, I think he's just saying I need the most flat AD possible to actually remain relevant.
It's not working for him at the moment. District looking for their first tier 2 of the game. Don't quite have the minions there yet to get it. Chrono Break's back once again. Faxi getting himself back up towards the top side of the map. He's actually probably the only lane that isn't miles ahead at the moment. He's only 7 CS up, has that 1 kill. over his lane
And
opponent.
I actually feel that actual lane has been pretty even between both members. This is something that I saw District do last time.
Oh, help picks. Oh, I thought he was going for it. Maybe tried to predict it with the Mad Life Glitterlance, but Sebla's going to put some damage back down onto Tor. Toaster doesn't even need his AD carry. Tor will pick up the kill. Faxi just continues to push up this lane as much as he can. Inhibitor turret in the mid lane is the target for Candy Floss and Kadrill, and at the moment not really much the UK Legends can do. They lose another member in the bottom lane. Bowser's down. They're going to try and catch up to Tor if he can. Good cocoon into Venomous Bite. We'll take down the kill now. He's going to see if he can get Toaster. Red buff is there, but a good trap will lock him down. Repels back to Kadrill. That's not where you want to go. It's a godlike rise that you're facing up into. And Candy Floss uses absolute zero to clear out the camp. Sometimes you just got to get the Crocs, man. Sometimes you just got to take them down. Maybe they insulted Willem's family. Toaster gets jumped on Ignite here by Zandia. Picks up his second kill of the game. Shuts down the Caitlyn. I'm very happy with that kill.
Hey, at least 50% of the team's kills right now, Sona. You know, I really want to say something insightful, but there's not much that I can say apart from the fact that it's another classic case of win lane and win game. Specifically Kadrill, though, and I think a lot of the mistakes were made by Zandia early.
Good bubble onto Kadrill. Kadrill's dead. Candy Floss gets exhausted. Zandia can look for the chase here. Another kill for him might actually put him back in contention in this game. I feel it's a stretch. Great flash cocoon onto Candy Floss. There's the repel coming out as well. Candy will die here. He should die at least. Shikari will take him down. Actually goes across towards Bowser. Does manage to take down the Princess of Willem.
So this is just, you know, the period of the game where kind of saw it from Renegades as well. They get a little bit overconfident. They start to think they can 1 versus 5. And then the enemy team ends up picking up little scraps of sort of hope, I would say. You know, you've got to use that wave on the ward, obviously. That's pretty important.
I don't know what that was. I assume he was trying to type. But yeah, starting up the Drake, UK's decided he doesn't actually want to use all his attacks. Now, here's a funny anecdote for you, Excandra. Sebla actually might die here. We'll just die to Tor across the wall. Yeah, here's a funny anecdote for you. When I first got Nami, I did not really realize she was ranged. So I tried to use all of her auto attacks in melee. That didn't work too well. It looked really clunky. And I was like, why on earth is Nami's auto attack so clunky? And it's because I was awful at the game. Tor's going to go down. Zandia will actually pick up the kill, but he's going to fall as well. Goes across towards Tosi.
So how about them desks?
How about them desks? I'm actually a big coffee table fan, in all honesty.
I am as well.
I hear you can pick one up for about £3,000 or so.
I thought it was 2,000, but...
Oh, was it 2?
I don't know. It's something along the lines of many thousands of pounds.
Yeah, coffee tables are expensive things.
I know. Are you selling one?
No.
I had a couple of £1,000.
Oh, Sebla! Goodbye. That didn't really warrant the ooh that I gave it.
No.
Sorry.
Well, to be honest, UK Legends UK Legends aren't in the worst position here. You know,
the worst position would be if their Nexus has exploded by now.
I don't mean in this.
It's 17 minutes in, and their inhibitors are being pounded away at. They're 22 kills to 7 down Excandra. I know solo queue can be hard, but even I haven't had a game that was this bad.
If you let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
I would have said, in the overall standings of the UK Masters.
No.
Because they actually did a 2-0 last week.
Yes, they did.
With the people who are getting 2 draws, you get 3 points for a win, I believe. So you're still in front of the teams that ended up getting 2 draws.
Yeah, you assume they're on 2 points because that's how ties work.
Yeah,
because we know
that's what I'm just saying. You know, that even though this series has gone horribly for them, and
it does happen sometimes.
It does happen. Sometimes you just have these kind of series. They are still ahead of people like Sensei, who have gone 1-on-1. So genuinely, UK Legends, even despite this performance, are not in the worst position.
It looks like these are going to be the Nexus Towers falling. Toaster very happy just to farm.
Apologies that we've had like a troll last sort of 5 minutes of this game, by the way, but sometimes that just happens.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. It's going to be Nexus Towers falling. 24 kills to 7 up on the side of District. Kadrill once again a dominant force in this game. Went 9-1 on that rise. Security's going to fall to Tor, padding out his KDA ever so slightly. And that should be the Nexus going down. Candy Floss is going to use absolute zero. That is a dead Zandia. Does manage to pick up Kadrill. Toaster doing a good job of kiting himself around. He is the original gangster, as we all know and love. Ace in the hole going to come out on UK. Will survive. Oh, not through the base dive though. Faxi takes him down. And the Nexus is going to fall. Sorry, Desk. I didn't mean to hit you that hard. The Nexus is going to fall here. 2-0 to District over the UK Legends.
Yeah, they're going to clear these wards out before clearing the Nexus. But that is a quick, clean 2-0 series here for District. Again, the result that I don't really think many people would be surprised about.
No.
District are that team to beat, and they made quick, clean work of UK Legends. And so much so in that second game that most of the team from UK Legends decided to give up, which just sometimes happens. Anyway, this is, I know, very smooth, smooth, buddy.
Every time.
Anyway, this has been a fantastic set of games for our first
really
day.
enjoyable.
I mean, obviously, this is the first day in the UK multiplayer studio. It's pretty fantastic. I don't know if you guys seen, and you guys do like the desk, which is pretty solid as well. We're going to have another set of games tomorrow.
That we are, and I brought them up on the screen so we could say who they are. It's TCA versus XL, and it's M&M, Molotovs and Marshmallows versus Perilous Void.
So TCA versus XL is definitely going to be a game to watch. These guys are...
I think they're both games to watch in all honesty.
TCA
If they don't watch them, then we're just talking to ourselves, man.
I'm talking in, like... What's the word I'm looking for here?
Metaphorically?
No, not
Figuratively?
Figuratively. And, basically, they're the games to watch because this
Figuratively watch it.
Yeah, anyway. That might not even be the word I'm looking for.
No, it's not.
Anyway, TCA versus XL will be the game to watch just in terms of interest value. Watch all of them, obviously, but this is the one to keep an eye on, probably the better way of coining that phrase. Yeah. Anyway, this is because both teams are pretty closely matched. They probably both performed on a similar level in the UK ESL Premiership, and obviously they could meet each other in the ESL Finals as well. So they won't actually meet each other in the semi-finals of that particular tournament because I think of the way the seedings have gone, that they are both second seed from their groups. They'll actually end up meeting in the final if both teams win. But, they have performed very similarly right now in the UK scene.
You know where they're going to meet first, though?
Tomorrow.
Here tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the UK Masters from this brand new studio. Hello, camera over there.
But the second game between Molotovs and Marshmallows against Perilous Void, that'll be a lot harder for Perilous Void. They actually have already played, I believe, and Molotovs and Marshmallows made quick and short work of them. I think it was in the ESL Group A. Oh. They definitely.
I think Perilous Void can definitely step it up. Hopefully, I think a good show.
I think Perilous Void are an incredibly skilled team, but Molotov and Marshmallows they are basically the old Manalite roster. They are the old Manalite roster, bar Rifty, which has been replaced for Only Angel. So they are still super strong. They have all that kind of synergy that they had previously. It will be a surprise if Perilous Void come out and get any sort of win tomorrow, draw series or win series. M&M aren't invincible like we thought they were previously. They have definitely shown signs of weaknesses, but TCA XL will be the very close match. I think it's the one we all have to keep our eye on. It will be very closely fought, and the victor probably will gain a lot of confidence going forward for not only the UK Masters, but for other upcoming tournaments as well.
Definitely. Well, it's been a great night of League of Legends actions here from the UK Masters Multiplay Studio. It's been great fun commissioning this studio, doing our first cast in it. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Make sure you join me, Sona, and him, Scoundrel, and the beautiful Desk tomorrow. Tune in then.